Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a very, very special episode of Stat Check. This is the 100th episode of the official show, and we are here for what we are dubbing the WTC 2024 Extravaganza, as we are pulling in people from all across the world to talk about what is going to be hopefully just as scuffed as the draw show, a format for discussing how cool the WTC is going to be this year. Because if anybody's noticed, we're all really excited about it, basically all the time. So in order to accommodate that, we have pulled in, I want to say, 12 other captains or notable people from other teams to come on and talk with us, as well as myself and Jeremy from Scotland and Canada. And we've also got Nathan here representing some of the Team England camp, despite not coming out to the event this year himself. So we are going to be going through a ton of stuff this episode. Stick with us. We're probably going to run super long. We're not doing questions this week. You're going to just have to roll with the punches as we are, because something inevitably will go wrong as we go through it. But with that said, I'm Ennis. I'm joined by Jeremy, and for a little bit, Nathan. And we're here to talk to you all about the WTC 2024, the final year in Mechlin. How do you both feel right now? Jeremy, kick us off.
You're saddening me by reminding me that it's our last year in Mechlin, because I've actually grown to be quite attached to that hall and the city and just everything about it. It's been kind of comforting going back. So I'm looking forward to going back. We had our team's practice weekend this weekend. We totally didn't change two players' factions on Saturday afternoon, and then it went, yeah, this will be fine. Meanwhile, half the team is just like, yeah, no, we don't want to change anything, and then two guys are going. So yeah, it was a great weekend. Had a lot of fun getting ready. Packing right now because I'm off to Tacoma for the U.S. Open in a little while. I think I'll be seeing your brother Nathan.
Yep, he'll be there.
How about yourself? What have you been up to?
So for me, I think WTC is always the funnest time of the year, and especially this year, from being like on the outside, it's when you're completely impartial and you get to talk nonsense about everybody else's teams. It's even more fun. So looking at everyone's, I think it's the first year we've seen it where realistically nobody's wrong. Like, pretty much everybody has taken what they like. Everything's different. All the top teams have all different armies. Like, I think Poland has like two armies in the same as USA, etc., that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it's actually a really, really cool year to observe.
Yeah, it's a fantastically diverse matter right now. And I'm sure inevitably with WTC, after the fact, someone was wrong. But right now, it's very difficult to look at them all and go, oh, yeah, these clearly made the right decisions. But once we have all of the retroactive rewriting of the past, it's significantly more fun. Except Nas. Nas is always wrong, as Ben points out in the chat.
And any World Leader player that didn't take Angron.
Well, there are always choices every year in and out. Whether we've got Sweden still rocking double knights, Australia, who you could have put money on having Scarab Occult Terminators and who did have Scarab Occult Terminators, or Poland with the AdMech swap over. There is so much cool stuff this year, and I really can't wait to dive into it. So yeah, as I said, we have a host of teams joining us today. I'm going to quickly flick up what is our general schedule. So on the left, starting from top left to bottom right, we have Poland and Australia, Poland and New Zealand sending representatives. Then we have Luxembourg, Netherlands, and France for a slightly longer one. That'll be a 30-minute episode or chunk. We have Australia and South Africa. We have Norway and the USA. We have Iceland and Hellas. We have Cyprus. And then myself and Jeremy here the whole time with you. So that is the people that we're going to have on the show. It's not all the captains for everybody. Some of them it's just a player. Some of them it's a coach. But we have somebody from all of those teams. I believe with Nathan here as well. It gives us 14 teams represented plus Nathan. So we have over a third of the tournament coming here to talk about the cool things from the pod draw. And with that, let's show the pods, because it's probably the most interesting thing that came out the past couple of days. What are our thoughts on these? So we have pod 1 with England, Ireland, South Africa, and China. I would say that's a super cool pod. We have South Africa coming off of a fairly solid first year, China completely unknown, Ireland traditionally one of the better home nations teams, I would say. They had a really strong showing at home nations this year, and England, a bunch of fresh new faces. We'll see how they do. Any thoughts there?
I think the best joke about this pod is it's just Britain. It's England looking to right some colonial wrongs.
So they're going 0-3, and they're going to rewrite a bunch of colonial wrongs by feeding.
Exactly.
That'll be good.
A bit of revenge.
No comment.
I think it'll be a lot of fun. We play the Irish like almost every year, and they're always a ton of fun. South Africa, those guys had the scooters last year. They were the smart ones. China, I believe that we have David in the StatCheck Discord who's been hyping up his team for the last like 6 months. So I'm really excited to see what they're able to pull off.
Yeah, it's going to be really good to see. It's always good to see some brand new teams. I think between China, Mexico, South Korea, Slovakia, Malta, Andorra, Singapore, Thailand, there are 7 new teams this year, which is just incredible to see. Like, it's growth I've literally not seen in almost a decade of being involved in WTC. I don't know how you feel, Nathan.
Yeah, it's always amazing when we get new teams every year, and this year especially getting 7 new teams. And then from the teams that we saw last year, it was a case of, even though they're brand new teams, they're super well organized. They're really good guys. They all added something amazing to last year's event. So hopefully the 7 new teams also add a lot to this year's event.
Yeah. The most interesting thing is that we only have one team who isn't coming back, and that was Croatia. So like every single team that's been here for the last couple of years has, continued to show up. So it kind of shows that like it's not, it's not just like countries rotating in and out, but it's just like you go back and you have that energy at home, and you're even more enthused to come back the next year.
Yeah, fair. So we have Pod 2, which has Austria, New Zealand, Israel, and Mexico. In Mexico, another new team this year. New Zealand, again, off of a very, very strong performance. This is definitely, it was a shame Australia and New Zealand paired into Pod last year, and this year it's Austria and New Zealand. So I think they're just working their way alphabetically through it. I look forward to seeing what happens here. Definitely a pod that has less, I would say, personalities invested in it, which does make it always a little bit harder with the people that we're chatting to online. I don't see as much out of the Austrian team and all that. So not as much drama going on with this one as with some of the other ones.
I will just have to make sure that David brought all of his backpacks this year.
That is always true. In Pod 3, we have the Nordic off with Sweden, Denmark, and Iceland, along with special guest South Korea, also known as USC. So I think it's incredibly funny between this one and the next pod that we had a bunch of partners all playing each other. I look forward to seeing the results of this one. I know Sweden and Denmark were doing a bunch of practice together with the Nordic Cup. Iceland were involved in that for a little bit as well before stepping out. So yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see the iterations going on in here. Denmark also traditionally a very good side, although they've been a little bit more in the middling of the pack recently, and Sweden are on a big upswing. So I would be surprised to see Sweden taking this spot out. How do you guys feel about this one?
Sweden's lists make me question life sometimes. They have demons both nights and Votan, which is definitely a mood.
Yeah, maybe one team is wrong about the list this year.
I think the mentality with Sweden right now is it's either going to be their best year ever or their worst year in a while.
Well, as their competition, I'm significantly hoping it's the second. Okay, Pod 4, we have our pod, which is the Netherlands, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Luxembourg, which has the hilarious privilege of being 3 teams I played against 2 weeks ago at Pyra. So we all just paired straight into each other. We're sitting, we just renamed the Pyra group chat to Group 4 group chat. So yeah, very much looking forward to this one. Netherlands have some really cool lists as well. There's a Chaos Space Marines list that like 4 teams have because we all stole it from Poland, and 3 of them are in this pod. So look forward to seeing who can flex Skark's Chaos Space Marine list the best. Okay, in Pod 5 we have the USA, Hellas or Greece, Romania, and Slovakia. I think the USA are fairly happy with this pod. Not that I think they would have been unhappy with any Pool 2 team particularly. Maybe Italy or Belgium or Canada potentially would have been something resembling a challenge. But I think we are all expecting the USA to kind of walk through this, as with most of the. It's
going to leave the pod farming points.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe they'll miss out on like 50 or 60 battle points on their way through, or maybe Greece will beat the crap out of them, and wouldn't that be the best timeline? Okay, in Pod 6 we have Australia, Italy, Norway, and Malta. Italy, I would say one of the better Pool 2 seeds, and Australia coming off of a fairly big rebuild of their team from last year. Not a lot of players coming back. I do look forward to seeing if Australia can hold on to their third place from last year, which they did do in a fairly submarine manner last year, as I recall, and losing a bunch of players. It'll be interesting to see. Australia also have some absolutely wild lists with Scarab Cult Terminators and World Eaters Terminators in the 30s. It's very
Terminators on total on that in that team.
Yeah, is that it? I don't even know. What do they have? Wolf Shell, right? So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Okay, Pod 7, we have Spain, Switzerland, Bulgaria, and Andorra. Spain and Andorra pairing into each other is, again, quite funny. Just neighbors getting each other. That's
the first round of that's their first round, too.
Yeah, it's Angel is the player that normally that used to play for Spain that branched off this form team Andorra, and he immediately just collapses him straight back into his old team. So that's quite a good one. I'm enjoying seeing that. Pod 8, we have the Pod of Life for Poland, the easiest pod they could have possibly hoped for, with Canada, Latvia, and Singapore, Thailand.
Yeah, the thing that makes it even funnier is that there's actually 10 Canadian players in this pod.
Yeah, there's two players for playing for Team Latvia, right? And then with Poland, Poland, Canada, Latvia, it's a hell of a pod for Singapore, Thailand to launch into. The best Pool 1 team, the best Pool 2 seed. How better is Canada about missing out on it by a rounding error in pool determination?
We earned our C2 last year. We're hoping to not only win 2 rounds and draw 4 more this year.
Very fair. In Pod 9, we have one of my picks for one of the spicier pods, France and Finland, both launching in here. One of the lower half of the Pool 1 teams, one of the traditionally stronger Pool 2 seeds. Wales and Portugal as well. Wales definitely working to rebuild their team after a few years off. Very, very interesting pod to see here again. France just coming off a win at Pyra as well, so got to be feeling confident after having taken down Poland. And then Pod 10, we have every year one team must be sacrificed to Liam VSL. We have Germany, Belgium, Czechia, and Cyprus. Germany, got to be watching out. Belgium with prep time is one of the scariest forces known to man. So I very much do look forward to seeing exactly who comes out of all of these ahead. Do we have any predictions? What's the spiciest pod for each of you guys, other than your own, obviously?
I think it's going to be Australia one.
Yeah.
I think that one is the most likely to have an upset of a seed 1 team outside of Belgium, potentially upsetting Germany.
Yeah, fair. I think it's going to be very interesting to see all of them come through. With that, I have one last thing to show off before we go into some captain interviews or some player interviews. We have the faction spread from WTC, which is going to just slot right over the front of our faces. And I don't know if that's super legible, but there will be we'll make sure there's a link to it in the show notes. Yeah, if you're on mobile, I'm just sorry, this is just not going to work very well. But yeah, we see as we go through the factions, we have Space Marines showing up in literally every single team composition. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised by that. We have 1,000 Suns showing up 33 times in 40 teams, so only 7 teams don't have them. Notably, only 2 teams from Pool 1 and 2 don't have them, and that's us and Finland. So that'll be interesting to see. We have 29 representations for Sisters, with 27 of them being Bringers of Flame. Germany showing up with Penitent Host, and Canada showing up with Howl of Martyrs, being the only people breaking the mold there. We have Grey Knights showing up with 28. We have Necron showing up 26, and then there's a pretty steep drop off to Tau at 19, Eldari at 18. Tyranids at 18, CSM at 17, with being almost all Renegade Raiders, 2 instances of Soulforge Warpack, 1 instance of Packbound Zealots by Team England, and then another drop off to Votan at 14, Drakari at 11, all Sky Splinter Assault, 11 World Eaters, 10 Astra Militarum, 10 Death Guard, 10 Orcs, mostly Warhorde, but a little spattering of others, 8 Chaos Knights, 6 Adeptus Mechanicus, 5 of them being Skitarii Hunter cohort, and 1 of them being from a Pool 1 seed in Poland. We have Custodes, which are 5 Shield Host and 1 Talons of the Emperor. Again, Poland is demonstrating another very low population faction here with Shield Host. We have four Chaos Demons, one of which is from a Pool 2 seed in Austria, 2 Imperial Knights, and no Genestealer cults. That is the faction spread for WTC this year. And we have lists coming out on the 22nd on Monday. So keep an eye out for all
I want
that
to add that
good
3 of those Custodes are in our pod.
Well, it's because you brought one of them, right?
We did.
Who's the team that doesn't have them in your pod?
I'm pretty sure it's Latvia.
Well, they're going to get a lot of mileage out of practicing that matchup then. Yeah, very cool. Anything you guys are surprised at in the faction choices?
I thought there might be more Eldar. But then again, actually over the last couple of weeks, maybe they haven't been performing as well as maybe people thought they did. Still, faction specialist armies have got a place. I thought maybe one person might take Genestealer Cult, but one brave person, but it wasn't to be this year. Unfortunately, that codex is struggling. Other than that, no surprise, means super popular. Sisters, 1,000 Suns, GK. Yeah.
Yeah, I was quite surprised at how I want to say like almost homogenous. The Marines build were like 20 of them are Blood Angels, just straight up. There's 20 Sons of Sanguinius lists. I think there might be like 18 Lamartises. Lamarties is more representative than most factions,
Nice.
which is quite funny. But there was also a decent spread. I think there were 8 Dark Angels Gladius Task Force lists. Notably Canada and America both have that. We have a couple of representation by Space Wolves by Pool 1 teams, with Stormlance being in both Poland and Australia's rosters. So there's a decent amount of diversity there, but there is a lot of Blood Angels, especially from, I think, like from Pool 2 down, it's basically just Blood Angels, the faction, but only 2 Pool 1 teams have it, with England and one other who I'm forgetting off the top of my head. I was very surprised to see Spain not have it after Serrano having played it last WTC. But yeah, there's a lot of diversity in the Pool 1 teams. Very, very big, interesting. There's also a really, really cool Thousand Suns list innovation that 4 teams have in Sweden, America, the Norwegians, and the United and Canada, all having a very, very out there Thousand Suns list that is not like anything that anyone else is playing, which I think is a very, very interesting left field approach to the metagame that I look forward to seeing the results of from those teams. Anything you want to say on that one, Jeremy, since you're playing it?
It is such a fun list. That is all I'm going to say. People are asking if I would talk about it on the pod. I'm like, maybe later. It's just a super fun list.
So tell them what it is? Or are you still
so
that?
I mean, the list will be public soon enough anyways, and I've already posted it in the StatCheck Discord if we want to do. It's 3 Exalteds on disc. One of them has the Athenian Scrolls. One of them has Lord of Forbidden Lore. Armin on disc. Magnus. Our good old trusty buddy, the Infernal Master with Arcane Vortex. 5 rubrics, 2x10 cultists, 3 Mutolith Vortex Beasts, and 2 Forge Fiends.
Very different. Very, very different. Isn't it good to see? And between yourself and Brian, and who I don't know on the Sweden and Norwegian teams, apologies, guys, I didn't read names. We have 4 teams playing this very out there. 20 rubrics between them. There are players with more rubrics than those teams have combined.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure Sacco has more rubrics than I do.
I think Sacco has exactly 20.
Okay.
If he's playing the same list he was at Pyra. So
yeah, he has. The funny thing about it is he has 21 Cabal points. I have 17 Cabal points. So it's not a huge difference.
Perfect. Right, we have the first appearance of our captains. I'm going to ping Pumbaa just to remind him that he's joining us, and then we're going to move on to the second stage of our episodes.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'll jump off now.
Pleasure joining us, Nathan.
Enjoy the rest of the episode. Take care, guys.
There we go. So we are now joined by Finn Decker from Team New Zealand and Pumbaa from Team Poland. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Yo. Hello, everybody.
Howdy.
Hello.
How are you both doing? How are you feeling about everything WTC related?
What a fucking week. What a weekend. What the fuck is going on?
You're just coming
Holy.
out swinging.
I mean, to say I'm excited is another statement, to be honest. Because holy, that list release day was something.
It's going to be very, very interesting seeing the full release to the public on the 22nd. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how everybody else responds to. How many messages did we have in the group chat on release day? There were hundreds. I had to turn my phone off because I had to go and read them. It was truly phenomenal.
I had legit like hundreds of DMs and pings everywhere.
I've gotten so many DMs from people like, where are the lists? When do they go live? And I'm like, we got to check them. And you'll get them on the 22nd. In the meantime, we all just get to laugh at them.
Finn, how was it on the New Zealand front? How did you guys feel opening up that? It's your first WTC as captain and as player, right? So what was that feel like for you guys?
To be fair, I like the variety of lists. There's a lot to go through, but there's also not as big of a spread in the factions that I thought there might be. Obviously for us coming in for a first time, it's very hard to gauge, what to expect. But I think there's a few clear favorites for armies and for teams, and then it's kind of like the 5 to 8 pick where people have just. It's a little bit different. So, we're feeling pretty good.
That's actually incredibly interesting for me because I feel like this is one of the most open and most diverse WTCs I have ever seen. I mean, I've been only going for 3 years, so I'm not a veteran as to say. but still, this prep for WTC and this list release day was one of the most diverse, I think.
Yep.
Like,
I'll echo that, because one of the things, like last year we had the launch of the edition and it was very stratified. Of you had like 3 have factions and then the other 5 were more or less falling in place. 2 years ago it was a fairly solved meta, and then this year it's throw shit at the wall and see what works.
yeah, legit. I think this year I'm thinking, did we have any factions that were just set in stone when we were choosing our team comp? And maybe Sisters after the Codex
Yeah,
release.
Sisters is the only one that was like really, and then you were going to have some form of Space Marines. I think we're the only two. Like,
yeah, of course, but
yeah, but it's the flavor of Marines. Like,
that's like crazy, right? Because the flavor of Marines dictates so much. They are so different from each other. It's almost not the same faction between many of those.
I'm sad that
role
no one
that
took
they-
Death Watch.
I mean, look, it's not a faction, I think.
Can you blame anybody for not taking Death Watch? Like, truly.
After what happened last
Especially
year, no.
exactly after last year, I think that was about to happen. Yes.
I think there's a reasonable chance that there's people who haven't read the Death Watch rules in like since last WTC.
Oh, I have. I do not recommend.
It's pain and suffering.
So let's move on. How do you both feel about your group draw? Finn, kick us off. Your group is, let me throw up the thing again. We have your group, which is Austria, Israel, Mexico, and yourselves. How are you feeling about that one?
We're feeling okay. Like we've got a lot of prep to do. Like there's quite a variety of lists between those 3, so it's basically a lot of prep to do into the pairings. But I think we could have, for like our first time there, we could have had the likes of Poland or something in our pod, which would have made our life a lot harder. Not taking anything away from Austria, but it's definitely something where we feel like we can definitely compete.
Yeah, and I mean Austria have one of the more interesting team comps with Ironstone Spearhead, Chaos Demons coming in there as well. Definitely some things that you're not expecting to see. Vanguard Onslaught Tyranid, Sky Splinter Soldier Kari, and a Votan list. Like they're not like one of the like straight up and down. We just have the 8 best armies. So there's definitely a lot of cool stuff to see there and lots of room to prep for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about the other 2 teams in your pod? Have you seen anything interesting from the other 2?
No, like I mean, I think from looking at the lists, Israel and Mexico, they're kind of like us, where it's you don't have the same depth of player pools, team comps, that sort of thing, to effectively make game breaking lists which the world hasn't seen. So those are sort of lists where that's the sort of thing we would expect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very fair. Pumbaa, yourself, you have a pod of nope, that's the one. We have Canada, Latvia, and Singapore, Thailand. How does it feel getting the number 1 pool 2 seed in your pod? Feeling threatened? Say it to Jeremy's face.
I was considering, should I come dick swinging and just say that's super fucking easy, but I think I'm just gonna
Careful,
be
we might
honest
make you eat those words. It's not likely, but we may
Exactly.
make you eat those words.
Exactly, and I think I'm just gonna be honest and say, yes, it's definitely a tough pool to get a previous tier 1 team into your pod. Is definitely one of the hardest matchups, right? Normally we would not be very worried about our pod. Now we need to really prepare for them, and like make sure we are not dropping any points. So I think we are favored. I'm not gonna lie, but we need to prepare, like actually prepare and be ready for you guys. And I think that's going to be difficult, and it's going to one of the most interesting things. You guys are in the US sparring group, let's say. So you double 2 of the US lists in Dark Angels, and your specifically Jeremy's playing the same list as Brian Cyprus for Team America, Team US. So it's going to be very interesting that we can test kind of into those 2 very specific lists and have conclusions about them. Because obviously it's nobody, like everybody is expecting us for prep for the US, and we will. So we will kind of prepare for those two specific lists as well while doing so. So it's kind of interesting in this way.
Yeah, it is a bit of a small disadvantage for us in that sense, in that you guys we're already going to be preparing for the US, and then you looked at when, oh, here we go.
Also,
Canada
can we
gets off the
just
side blast?
Also, can we just agree to pair custodies into each other into the mirror? Because fuck them. Because it's very fucking funny for me to have two custodies in the same pod.
Krista does love a good mirror, so
right? Just roll for ups, I guess.
pretty much. Yeah, no, that'll be up to Chris and Riley. I'll help out a little bit with pairings, but you'll have to bribe one of them to make it happen.
What I'm gonna say is, for teams like Latvia and especially for Singapore, Thailand, I think it's a rough draw. I'm not gonna lie. Coming against us and Canada in the same pod is difficult. I hope they do as best as they can, but it's a disadvantage for sure to draw such a difficult pod for them.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, it's a fantastic springing stone for into the rest of the event, right? They're going to get to learn so much against you guys. So many awesome. They're going to get 16 awesome games as a team that they'll get to take. Well, and the 8 games because the other team that they'll get to take and learn from going into Saturday and Sunday's games, prepping for day 2. Certainly, I know the year we came through as a pool 3 team, and we paired Spain and Germany as our 1 and 2 seeds and just got smashed back-to-back games. It certainly put us in pretty good stead for our round into Norway in game 3. We were like, we're going to take some anger out on you guys now, and we're really sorry about this.
The Scottish reward, as you call it.
No, we definitely did not call it a Scottish reward. We called it a Scottish drink until we went to sleep.
Also, I'm super excited for the Pyrapod. I think it's the funniest shit ever that happened.
Yeah, well, that leads into our next questions. What other pods do you guys think are super interesting? Are there any Pool 1 teams you think are in danger of losing? Any Pool 2, or even Pool 3 seeds you think are in for an upset? Don't just feel like you have to butter me up here. You can also talk about some really interesting ones like the Australian pod. There's lots of good stuff going on there.
Finn,
Yes,
what do you think?
I think the pod with Belgium and Germany, that could get quite interesting. We've been doing some prep work together with Belgium as well. And so, yeah, that one could be interesting. And also your Scotland's pod. I think there's a real chance of an upset there.
I've got Rudis sitting at the bottom of the bar waiting for his one just in 10 minutes. And I know he's got to be loving that. So
I 100% agree. I think the Belgian scare is still real. Germany is definitely gonna... they need to watch for themselves to not lose any points in that point. I think it's very good. And I'm extremely curious, especially after Pyra, to see what happens in Scotland, Netherlands, Northern Ireland, and Luxembourg port. It's super interesting to me. Yeah.
that's
I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm biased and I'm rooting for Scotland. I will say it right now. Even though half of the Netherlands team is consistently in my DMs with like Dino just stealing Skark's list and practicing it.
Hey,
to no
we did
end.
that too. We did that too. Let's not pretend we're above stealing Skark's list.
I mean, the man writes very solid lists, so
Yeah, if you like gun, you should like Skark's list.
if you
It's
like
pretty good in
efficient
that.
gun, go talk to Skark.
That is very
Alright.
much true.
Next question on the list. Any list that you saw and you were like, oh, I wish we had thought of that. We hadn't considered it. Anything that you think that's specifically worth sharing on any of the Pool 1 teams or Pool 2 teams or anybody else that you've had a look across? Or just a cool list that you want to shout out, even if you're not happy that you necessarily had it yourself.
Okay. I now have to exist in the world where Brian/Jeremy's list exists. And I dislike that a lot, and I would like to leave. I cannot come to terms with what the fuck happened there. I think
All I can say is I tried to not like that list. I played an entire GT with a different list. I was practicing with something completely different, and every time I kept going back and went, "This is a lot of fun. It's too much fun. This isn't right." It apparently works too.
Look, I think I'm gonna quote Vic saying to Brian directly after the lists were released to teams that I think he said, "How can you turn the most beautiful army in the game into magical chaos knights?" And I 100% agree with that. It's crazy.
So the best part about this
yeah,
is my
go
army
ahead.
is magenta. So it's like the brightest T-Sun's army you could ask for.
Look, I'm gonna be honest. As a T-Sons player myself, I envy you because you will get to play 7 beautiful games with no care, while I try to not make a single mistake in my positioning of half an inch to not lose a single game. Because every time I do, I'm about to go get fucked, while you just fucking smash easily 4-6 beats into your opponent relentlessly. And that's the list I definitely want to shout out. For the factions we did consider, I think the Dark Angels Gladius that I think 4 of the Seed 1 teams took is extremely good, extremely competitive, extremely dangerous. I'm not particularly surprised by it because we did consider it at some point. It was just that it didn't fit our team comp particularly. So it's not like, oh my god, we didn't expect it at all. It's more like it's definitely a choice that we need to be aware of and prepared for.
Yeah, there's no world less you didn't read the Deathwing data sheet and go, let's try a list.
Yeah, that's 100% what happened. When he saw the thing that changes, he was like, holy, that's fucking spicy. And after this release especially, he was like, I fucking told you guys, they're just broken. And he's very sad right now that he's gets to play Custodes instead of the Space Marines because they were already taken. But yeah, super cool wrist, extremely strong, I believe, extremely potent in some matchups. It's going to be the one to figure out for our matrices, especially because while we consider it, it wasn't thoroughly tested, right? So need to prep for that the most, I think.
Finn, anything on your end?
So we looked at there was factions that we just didn't have time to look at and consider. So it's interesting, like, AdMech, we just made the decision we don't really have an AdMech player. But then seeing that Poland took AdMech, same with them taking Custodes, we briefly looked at Custodes, but just ran out of time to really test with them. So we've just really gone for things that people are more comfortable on than trying to reinvent the wheel, especially for our players. But yeah, it's the fringe factions where these like people taking demons, the things like AdMech Custodes, which are quite interesting, which I'm interested to see how they go and work in the team format.
Very fair.
Yeah.
Pumbaa, do you want to tell the AdMech story briefly, and then I'll do our final question?
The AdMech story is pretty straightforward. We were looking for an 8th army, and it was decided that we need to search for something really deep. For us, things like GSC were the faction where we decided there might be something there, we just don't care, right? So in the same vein as you did with Custodes or AdMech, and I can see a lot of teams could have done that because, as I've discussed, I think the meta is so balanced and diverse right now that you can search for builds, for specific builds, for answer for some things within a lot of factions, but you need to budget time, you need to budget faction specialists, you need to budget a lot of things. So for us, this kind of army was definitely GSC, where we tested them like 2 games maybe, and we decided there might be something there, we just don't care. Instead, we were considering Tyranid extremely hard. They were thoroughly play-tested by us, and we came to the conclusion that AdMech would be a better choice, and that fits more into our team comp. Especially that Duda plays them now, which is so we threw out elves and took Imperial elves, I guess, is what happened, kind of.
That's very fair. All right, guys, last question for you. 1, do you want to shout anything to the guys at home, either your teammates or your fans? And for the international community who might be looking for a team to support when their team's not on stream or after their team gets knocked out, why should they be supporting New Zealand or Poland? Finn, do you want to kick us off?
So I just want to say thank you to all of the community of New Zealand who have helped us with fundraising events and that sort of thing. supported us with buying merch, attending events, and that sort of thing. Like for us, we have to fly 26 and a half hours to get to the event. So yeah, there's obviously a lot of travel costs and things involved for us. So it's really appreciated any fundraising money that we've been able to get. And I mean, if people want to follow a team where I feel like we play in the spirit of the game, then we're probably a team to follow.
Very fair. It's always good to root for the new kids on the block, especially when they're coming so far and putting so much time and effort in. So yeah, massive props to you guys for making the trip out. Pumbaa, same question for you.
I don't know if I particularly need to advertise Timpo at this point, but I will because I can.
Hey, there's a second half of that. You can just say hi to the Polish guys if you want to be like, hey, root for us if you want to root for the guys who are going to win, or fuck off. Like, that's fine too. Whatever you
Look,
want.
for us to be like a returning
we
champion.
we are the reigning champions, and we will try to remain on the spot. It's going to be, I more and more feel like it's going to be an extremely difficult task, and I'm super hopeful for us. Because I believe this year, especially, we have a lot of momentum going for us. We have a lot of people returning for our team. We have some new faces. A lot of the Polish community has done incredible amounts of work for us in terms of playtesting with us, coming up with ideas. Things like our Space Wolves list, for example, entirely developed kind of offhand months and months ago. By people who are not coming to the WTC, but it is one of the beautiful things in the Polish community that we can kind of take those ideas that can organically are developing in our meta and then take them to the next level and try them at WTC. So huge shout out to the entire Polish community for supporting us and coming up with those ideas and like actually making it a team that is representing the Polish Warhammer community. So super grateful that is the case. I hope we do well. Shout out to our sponsors because this year especially we have two huge sponsors that allow us to not just fucking break the bank coming to Belgium again. It's a huge thing. And shout out to my crew with the current selectors, who is Duda, Mason, and Typhus, that have done incredible job with gathering this team together and hopefully making it another win for Poland at this WTC, no matter the odds. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Very fair, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I realize it's really late for Pumbaa. I have no idea what time it is for you, Finn, but I can't imagine it's been the easiest in the world.
It's 20 to 11 in the morning.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
I hope both of you have a great time getting out to WTC. Enjoy the rest of your practice, and I can't wait to hear more from you as we build up to the start of the event, whether we're seeing you on Contact Lost or at the event itself. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We're going to move on to our next group of captains or players. Catch you all later.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
and see
thank
you
you.
later.
Okay, we are now joined by Rude, and I'm going to say Gilles, but I'm never 100% sure how to pronounce that one. He's either going to nod or smile or shake his head at me. And we will probably be joined by Matt from Team France at some point in the near future. How are you two doing from Luxembourg and Netherlands, respectively?
Very, very good. And you pronounce it correctly.
Wait, your name's actually Gilles?
Yes.
Oh, fuck my life.
You've been calling him Giles for years.
I've been calling him gay for
Gilles.
years.
Gilles.
Gilles.
Yeah, I don't speak with the back of my throat. It's okay.
No,
So
me
this
neither.
pod, this specific set of interviews is very
Pyropod.
specifically organized because Luxembourg and Netherlands are both in my pod. We all tested together at Pyra. We all have the same list. Might plus or minus some war gear on a hell brute.
Maybe.
I hope
Some
everybody's
other sister unit. That's it.
How is
Fuck
everybody
my
getting on? How are we feeling about WTC? How has your last week been? Gilles, start us off.
Chaotic as usual. But we don't. My team is very, very well organized. So when I ask them to do something, they come up really quickly. So first of all, shout out to them, and also shout out to Thomas and Ruth for giving us Thomas. He's been
50
high on the
bucks.
spectrum, and he's going really, really deep into the list. we spent a lot of time just typing out the list because we can't share them. So it's just us two typing it all into an Excel that's actually readable.
You want one? We already had our coaches fix all the lists in an Excel sheet.
We're good, thanks.
Ines, do you want one?
Look, man,
Just
I'm
to
just
make your
I'm
life
waiting
easy.
for the PDF. I'm not worrying about it.
Wait, you guys,
that-
you guys don't already have Google Docs with every single of the
Yeah,
seed 1,
yeah.
2, 3, and 4 teams done?
No,
We
don't
have
consider seed
we have
1
every
Sarah. Who are you
country.
planning on playing against?
Every country we have list fixed, and then an Excel sheet, every player in one row. So I have 8 rows just in front of me, all the lists. You have coach nerds for a reason, guys. Come on now. I don't understand this fucking
As
shit.
a former coach nerd, I concur.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. When I was a coach nerd, we didn't.
Ishik says he
we didn't
has the
do anything.
PDF and he is not sending it to you.
I don't care. Took too long
Fair,
anyway.
fair. So, how is the prep feeling? You guys feeling ready coming into this? How do you feel about your pod draw?
Oh yeah, I love my pod because we've only playing everybody for the last 1.5 years. I think we played every country in our pod at least 2 times.
Give me 1 second, guys. We are also joined by Matt, so I'm going to just jump back
Ooh.
over a second to the other question in a minute. But finish off that thought first, Ruud.
Yeah, no, on the one hand, it's super nice to play teams that you know and love. I mean, it's gonna be a chill pod. On the other side, it's fucking stupid because there's 10 new countries joining and there's no new country to play in the first round.
Sorry.
And everybody has the same list.
It is certainly interesting pulling up the teams that we played against 2 weeks ago. Matt, thank you for joining us. Matt is a representative of Team France. Thank you so much for being here. Matt, how has the last week for you been prepping for the WTC?
Hey guys. First of all, I hope you hear me well, I guess, because I didn't do any tests before. Perfect. So, yes, I'm representing France because Zeka is sleeping. To answer the question, I guess we've been looking forward to seeing the list of everyone because we know that, as Pumba said, the meta is very flat. So we know that most things are playable. So we're eager to see what the other seed ones are bringing to WTC. So yeah, we were anticipating the list, I guess, and now we're happy to see the results. But yeah, no, we're just prepping in a chill way, I guess.
That's fair. How did you guys feel about your group draw? Just for anybody who is following along at home, France pulled a group of
Finland, Wales, Portugal.
Finland, Wales, and Portugal. How are we feeling about that one, Matt?
I guess we're feeling pretty confident, to be honest. We were sweating because 2 years in a row we got Belgium in our pod, and we were 50-50 to getting Belgium again. So yeah, it's cool because there are some people we're excited to play against. For example, Finland. We haven't played them for a very long time, so that's gonna be cool, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. And instead, Germany, one of your rivals for the championship, get to play Liam VSL on testing power. Isn't that a glorious thing to watch someone else suffer through?
It's 10 out of 10.
Very fair. All right, guys. Next question up, I have. Which lists do you think are super interesting from the other teams going to the tournament? What stood out for you? What seems very interesting? What are you wishing you guys had? What did you not consider? Ruud, kick us off.
Well, we had one of our orcs guys playing for at least a full year on orcs, and then we dropped him last minute, and then USA all of a sudden comes with some weird ass fucking green tide list. Like, what is this doing? Our orcs guy was like, "What the fuck is this? And why does it suck so much?" So we're really curious what magic they're gonna show off, or what is this good in, or
Lucas is a bit of a magician.
yeah, really curious.
Yeah, what did you end up putting your guy over to?
Grey Knights, because it's so much kill. No, I mean we had some last minute changes, especially because we had Dick on Chaos Knights, and then he got fucked at Pyra. So that was not happening, and then Clayton had to drop last minute, so then we got in our Nits guy, which, funnily enough, does work very well for our pairings. The Inari list we played together with Belgium for the practice weekend before Pyra was really good. So we took that in last moment. And Dino, as the old grandpa of the Netherlands, he wanted to be a Scark Junior. So we took the Scark list. And I think half of the guys took the Blood Angel list from us, but whatever. And our Tau guy turned into a guard guy again. So all is
It is
well
quite
in the
funny
Netherlands.
that there were 2 CSM lists that did well at Pyra, and from the 6 teams at Pyra, there are four copies of one and 2 copies of the other. Matt's one also snuck its way into the Northern Ireland roster, so we'll be seeing that one in our pod as well. Matt, how about yourself? Anything Team France is like, oh man, we didn't even think of that faction? Any lists that stood out as being really cool that you guys aren't taking? What's there to shout out for you guys?
I mean, we were debating a lot on the Space Marines. So when we saw Manishima's list, we were like, this makes sense. Just put 60 jump packs and just go in. Yeah, so we may be missing on that one. I guess we played a lot of Blood Angels, so we knew what it was going to do, but we were not certain if people were going to counter it to actually build to beat Blood Angels. But now that we see the lists going, we're like, yeah, this looks good. Maybe we didn't build enough Blood Angels. And then I think Tyranids, like it's pretty popular. We didn't have a pilot for it mostly. We know that it's pretty solid, but we didn't have anyone to jump on the codex and play it, I guess.
That's fair. I think one other thing is also fairly notable for France. You are one of the few pool 1 or 2 teams that don't have sisters. And I know that you're your team sisters player and you're playing Chaos Space Marines. Is there anything interesting to talk about there?
Yeah. I mean, I knew this topic was gonna happen because I was playing Sisters for 6 months. So I had a lot of data to base myself on, I guess. And after the codex got the points, I was pretty disappointed. I tried to push it as much as I could, but 1 week before the Pyra, I dropped it because I thought it was kind of mid. To be fair, it was just for us. It was not very impressive. At least testing against our own roster, it didn't feel very good, I would say.
It's quite
That's
okay,
fair.
huh?
Gilles, anything for you guys? Any factions that you're like, oh man, that looked cool?
We basically took every faction into account, and then we have the problem of player allocation. So switching someone from an army barely doesn't know, so close to the balanced data slate just didn't feel right. We already had to choose to throw one under the bus, and you're just gonna learn Skark's list because that's apparently the running gag in this group.
Hilariously, you guys are one of the few teams. You guys have these 6 most represented armies. You have all 6 of them. And then your other 2 are a little further down to the right. But you guys are probably the closest to the meta roster of most teams at the tournament, which is quite funny.
That was mostly just because pure luck again, as usual. You don't need skill if you have luck. But mostly it's, I mean, there's some really crazy lists in there. Shout out to the man playing 2 Rampagers. But then again, so many crazy lists in there. You can't begin. There's no end to this podcast if you start looking at all the lists. So
Yeah, but there's no beginning to this section if you don't pick one. So
yeah, exactly. So all the armies have been taken into account, and at the end it was just player selection.
That's very fair. All right, next step up. Which pods look the most interesting from the outside? Which pool 1 teams that your competition are you most looking at being like, I think you might go down? I know, Matt, you already mentioned the Belgium-Germany pod, but anything that really stands out to you guys as being good ones to watch, ones you'll be keeping an eye on for your own results? Any teams with similar faction spreads to you that you're like, if they play against that, we want to keep an eye on it so we know how they're going to pair into us? Any of that sort of thing?
So for us, it's basically all the Seed 4 teams that are new, which you don't really know how they play. So you never know when an upset's going to happen. On the other hand, our pod looks interesting. I mean, it's not as clear cut as you think it is, as in there can always be an upset at some point. Not saying that we're going to do the upset, but you never know.
It's okay. You can say that Netherlands going to lose.
Yeah, well, Hello.
I swear I didn't just organize this podcast to be unrude, but I'm certainly glad that it's happening.
Oh, what a surprise! And he's trying to fuck me up.
I don't want to see that. But I mean, there's some clear. The USA pod's pretty clear cut. Who's coming out second is maybe a different thing. Thanks, Ines. And for the rest, I mean, there could be upsets in any pod, but most of them look. Pod 3 looks interesting as well because I don't know what South Korea does. Again, those are the seed 4 teams. You have no idea how they play unless you are connected to that meta or to that country at some point. But for me, it's Pod 4 actually that looks the most interesting, as in it's not clear. And Pod 10, yeah, as you said, someone's getting thrown on the bus, and this year it's Germany.
Matt, Rude, any thoughts on any of those or any further thoughts?
Oh man. Yeah, just Matt go first.
Okay. Yeah, for me it's Pod 7. Because I actually live in Bulgaria, so I know well the Bulgarian team, and they've been training. They've been training a lot. I know that they're supposed to be seed 3, but they have pretty good level. I don't want to hype them too much, but I think they stand a good chance to put up a fight with the others. And we know that Switzerland is pretty consistent in being amongst the first of seed 2, let's say. So yeah, between those 3 teams with Spain, I think it's going to be interesting pod, I would say.
Very fair. Rude?
I just hope Pod 1 Ireland beats England again, just like at Home Nations.
Home
It's Nick
Nations.
coming home.
Just go like. No,
Epsie's been taking up the shit talk.
Yeah, I mean, Ireland should win it because it's cool, and maybe China has some secret tech because it's a new country. But for the rest, I mean, we all know Belgium's going to beat Germany now, so that's hilarious. And Part 3 is actually almost the Nordic Cup, so it's Denmark and Iceland, but Iceland didn't want to show up, so they're not Nordic anymore.
Oh, they've been ousted from the Nordics. They're no longer geographically attached. They got ice exit.
Yeah, Netherlands is more Nordic now than Iceland.
Very fair.
Yeah, that's fine. It's also funny that every country cannot spell Luxembourg.
Yeah, it's a running gag at the moment.
I think at this point we do it intentionally.
Yeah, they do. Last year it was spelled wrong on our box.
At this point, it would be weird if we spelled it correctly, right?
Yeah, I did it wrong on purpose in ETC.
Yes.
I know.
And we started running with it. At Pyra, I used every spelling error we found and mushed them together.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to move on to the next set of questions. So, next one is for the people at home. Is there anything you want to say, whether that's to your team or the general community that you are? And for anybody who's watching internationally who wants a team to support, whether it's because their team's not attending, because their team's out, or because they refuse to support England on moral reasons, which I think is fair enough, why should they support your team? Gilles, do you want to kick us off?
Well, first of all, thanks to all the players. They are really on point when asking stuff. The community is growing slowly. We have some new prospects. You've met one of them. Everything's going great. And if you are rooting for the underdog, there's no bigger underdog than us.
Very fair. Rude?
Man, as God created, no, what was it again? It's finishing touch. God created the Dutch, right? So support us. We're a bunch of
right?
Yeah, on the day off, yes. No, we're a bunch of happy idiots. I always believe that we are one of the guys or one of the teams that plays the game by intent the way it should be. So we are some weird ass motherfuckers, but we do like to play the game the way it should be. And we sell weed, so why not love us?
You're not the only ones anymore. It's okay.
No, you're really not.
Okay,
I could imagine
prostitutes then, fine.
After Leoben, maybe we shuffle the WTC over to Amsterdam or Amersfoort for a bit of a more fun tournament.
Amersfoort, yeah, WTC at Amersfoort. Jesus Christ!
All of us in the one hotel, it'd be great.
Oh yeah, do it. Actually,
Matt,
it should be doable.
I know you guys have a massive ecosystem in France. So, is there anything that is you guys want to say to either the team at home, the supporters, and for anybody watching internationally? Why should they support France?
I mean, I don't feel like I can have the responsibility to address all of those people, but yeah, we have pretty huge support behind us, and that's insane. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the guys at home break the record this year, because we have this streaming guy coming for France and etc. So yeah, that's awesome always to have a lot of support. So looking forward to WTC.
Yeah, so I'd strongly recommend if you're checking out, if you want to watch some games that are going on. I know there's a stream going live for the French stream that'll be linked on all the WTC social media. So if you want to watch more games, just see even more 40K getting played, it's a great place to go. We had the privilege as Team Scotland to play on the stream last year, and it was an absolute pleasure. The guys were consummate professionals, and they're a fantastic team to play against. So, and the same applies
Also,
to obviously. Go for it.
if I can say, you can ask questions in English. You can just interact in English. It's a French stream, but they're open to just doing stuff in English. So don't be afraid because the title is in English or something, or in French or something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all Warhammer, right? You can tell when people stream when the 6 is rolled, regardless of what happens, whatever
Yeah.
language it's in. And yeah, I think
Plus,
the same thing
French are
applies.
the best
Sorry.
terms in Warhammer.
No,
I spend
French
many
Eldar
an hour every week going through mini headquarters, strolling through the lists that are written in French, and it's always a linguistic adventure.
French Eldar and French Votan lists are horrible.
Oh, no. The Chaos Space Marine ones are just.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's some pretty shady stuff there.
All right, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you both, or all three of you. Thank you so much. Best of luck with your preparation for WTC, except you, Rude. I hope all your preparation sucks and your dice turn to ash. Have a fantastic time with the prep, and I look forward to seeing you all at Bar Popular on the Tuesday night or the Sunday night, whichever your
2.5
proclivities
weeks.
enjoy.
No,
Don't say it like that. I need to book flights still.
Popular on Thursday evening, right, Chill? I mean, it's gonna be our games are gonna be easy, so we're gonna have.
Yeah, we're gonna be done
much-
in 30 minutes. You have
Yeah.
something to worry about then for next round.
We just call it 1:40:20, and we're gonna have a beer.
Deal.
Wow, you think you're gonna get beat that bad, Rude?
No,
All right, guys. Thank you so much
no,
for being
that's
with
against
us.
Scotland, buddy.
It's
Thank you
greatly
guys.
appreciated.
Thank you a lot.
Good luck with the rounds.
Bye.
Thanks.
Ciao, ciao.
All right, we now do have a 20-minute. Oh, do we? Am I getting joined by somebody? I thought we had.
We do, but apparently Lahan from South Africa has joined a little
Lahan is
early.
quick. That's fine. We can leave him to stew for a bit, unless I sent him the wrong time, which is entirely possible.
Definitely is.
I did not. No, he's just 20 minutes early. That's fine. So, how are we feeling so far? Because this is the bit where we're gonna have a bit of a break. We're gonna do the plugs, and then we're gonna let everybody stew for a second. And we could also talk about ourselves, Jeremy, because that's the bit that we do for this one. How
This
is
is true.
Canada feeling about its pod?
I mean, we were feeling great right up until the moment when we got Poland in our pod, and we went, "Uh-oh." All right, so this is going to be an interesting round. Yeah, no. In terms of just like general preparation, I think this is the most prepared and most skilled team that Canada's ever put forward. We've never had the opportunity to do a full practice weekend with the whole team in person before, mainly because of how spread out the country is, and also, just general organizational challenges. But we had one of StatCheck sponsors, Red Dragon, basically just give us the store for the weekend and say, here, terrain, mats, food, you guys are good to go. Do whatever you want. Dan's one of our coaches, so it helps out. But like even on the day 2 when he couldn't make it out, we were there early morning until late afternoon, just grinding out and trying to figure out the last bit of our comp before lists were locked in. So, but yeah, pod wise, Singapore, Thailand's a big unknown. Ash, their captain, and I have played a few times on TTS actually over the years, but we've never met each other. So I'm really looking forward to that. I crossed paths with a few of the Thailand players at WCW last year. So I'm really excited to see what they put together. Their lists are somewhat wild, but that's kind of to be expected.
Yeah, they're the team with the Space Wolves Gladius, right? Like they've got all the out there lists. Poor Space Wolves Gladius. It's the worst Gladius because they can't have the Apothecary Biologists.
Yeah. That is an unfortunate change. But yeah, no. Latvia, I mean, we have to prep for them, but I don't think it'll be too much of a challenge. And then Poland is where we're going to really have to try hard. We won't lie. Our goal is to draw them or beat them. We want to knock down the defending champs, in round 3.
It's a hell of a statement to come out into the event with and be like, hey, we are as good as or better than the defending champions. You guys, it's also like, it's one of the quirks of WTC. Which round do you play them? Round 3, right? Or so
Purge.
that's Purge the Full, right? Which is we drew Poland at Pyra in February in Purge the Full, and we were not prepared at Pyra.
And it's tipping point too.
Exactly. It's a very, very good mission for like getting those kind of upsets, and I think it definitely leans into that a little bit, right? And then you have the same thing. The round 1 pairing is supply drop, and that's where the full 4 seeds play the full 1 seeds. And if there's any mission that could get screwy with, that's the one it can happen in, right? So,
and it's Singapore, Thailand, into Poland, so that could be very interesting.
Yeah, especially if Singapore, Thailand, or some of the other pool 4 seeds like China into England come out just absolutely swinging, just purely we have prepped this, and then you have Belgium, Germany kicking out in Purge the Four as well. Like, it's going to be a hell of a tournament. I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
How about the list question then, Jeremy? Any lists that you guys are like, oh, we didn't consider that, we didn't have a player for that? What are you?
I don't think we ever ran into we didn't have a player for that. We rotated quite a few factions over the last 4 or 5 months, including, as I've said, 2 of them on Saturday
Friday,
afternoon.
On Saturday, yeah.
Where we went, these 2 aren't working and no one's feeling them. Let's ditch them. I don't think there were any that we particularly feel like we missed. We were scratching our heads a little bit, in all honesty, at AdMech. We did try to make it work. But none of us, because I play AdMech, I love AdMech. T-Suns, one of our other players could have picked it up. But I literally nearly Mary Kondoed my AdMech army after testing them a couple times because I just got so upset. So now I have to put the Poland list on the table and be like, does this bring me joy? And if it does, am I going to be upset?
That's very fair. Is there anything that you're like, I feel like you would have liked to have it in your composition, even if you don't feel like you missed it, and you're just like, oh, we didn't have a player for that or anything?
No,
not even have a player, but just like our player decided to go a different direction, and looking at it, we wish we had gone a different one. I know there's always the like WTC of once you hit the event, you're like, our list are the best list in the world until August the 20th or whatever it is, right after the tournament. But as long as you look and you're like, that would have filled a gap in the roster or something like that.
Zach's Tiger Shark is the one that I'm still like, it's a really fun list. We'll see if it works. I think it works really well.
You guys might have more planes than the rest of the event combined, right?
Because we have a single Tiger Shark in Zach's list, and then we have 2 Void Raven bombers in Jonathan's Drukari list.
Yeah, I definitely didn't go through and like comb for planes, but I can't imagine there were many others.
Jonathan is running the list that Skari Ridvan has been playing for a while. So
yeah, very fair. No, I suppose I'll do the questions for myself then. We are very much feeling our pod draw. I suppose that's not surprising. We played the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Northern Ireland at Pyra 2 weeks ago, and we won all 3 of those rounds with putting over 90-point scores against them, which 90 points is a respectable score, but not a dominating one. And so there's definitely like a lot of room there for making sure that we need to be keeping our game up. But as far as teams that we could have drawn as Team Scotland, we were sitting there going, Netherlands or Austria. That was kind of the ones we were hoping for. Austria are a team that just jumped up from Pool 2, so we were expecting them to be on the weaker side. We played them a couple of years ago to a draw, and we were hoping that it would be similar this time. And Netherlands, we had played before, and then pulling them out was definitely it was a good feeling for us. Like we're one of the Pool 2 teams that is trying to make that stretch for being a top 10 team. We were tied for points with 7th through 12th last year. Definitely a place that we are looking to improve on is winning our games against the Pool 1 teams, and Netherlands is a great place to start that, or even drawing our games against the Pool 1 teams, frankly. And Netherlands feels like a great testing bed to see if we've hit that point or if we need another year, right? So if we can do that at WTC, then it starts feeling like we can do it going forward. And then Northern Ireland is a team that, we've played Northern Ireland a bunch. They beat us at Home Nations. We beat them at Pyra, or we beat their combined team with Ireland at Pyra. And it definitely it gives us a nice little it's another gauge there, right? Like, are we better than we were at home nations at Pyra? Yes. Are we better still at WTC? Have they improved as well? Definitely. They will have prepped for us in so much different ways, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that rolls out going into it. As far as faction choices go for us, if you scroll through the faction choice spread, you can see that we are missing two very notable factions from the top of the faction spread, with not having Grey Knights or Thousand Suns. We definitely had the same kind of thing that France were talking about with Thousand Suns, where it felt like every team was going to have Thousand Suns and every team was going to have a plan for Thousand Suns. So, did we want to put somebody who was going to be at best a decent Thousand Suns player, but unlikely? We weren't going to have Liam VSL or Alex Sacco playing Thousand Suns for Team Scotland, right? We just weren't going to have a player of that caliber, and teams were planning to beat that caliber of Thousand Suns player. And we felt like we had reasonable answers for Thousand Suns in our matrix. So why were we chasing the Dragon on, trying to like get somebody up to scratch with Thousand Suns when we could just play better factions? But definitely looking at the rosters, I'm still not convinced we beat Thousand Suns every time we play against them. And maybe we will, and maybe we won't. And I think that's going to be one of the big tests for us. Grey Knights, I definitely like kind of looking down at. Grey Knights are the first place where I start to feel like a lot of teams have this army because they have a Grey Knight player, not necessarily because it really does anything. They are a very good draw nullifier army, but
Yeah.
man, there are so many draw nullifier armies in the game right now that I really didn't.
The
feel like
meta
we
is
needed another
pretty.
one.
It is largely flat. On the T-Suns front, like I picked them up almost 4 months ago after an offhand comment someone made to me about how Canada might want to have a T-Suns player, and I went, all right, I'll explore them, I'll play them, I'll grind them out, play them at team events, GTs and RTTs, and then just lots of practice. And then when it came time to build our comp, we were like, yeah, let's do it.
We need
It
Thousand
works.
Suns. We want Thousand Suns, yeah. And it definitely
Yeah.
feels like if you want a Thousand Suns, you could just play them and pair for them. But if you like, I really do feel like you didn't need them. And
Yeah.
the only
I don't think
other
they're
one
necessary,
team
but you need a
that agreed
plan
with
for
us
them on
was
the other
Finland.
side.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. And then we have some of the more out there faction choices. We have Drakari, we have Shield Host Custodes. We played Poland at Pyra, shockingly. I know you guys have the same. And then we have my Synaptic Nexus list. 3 teams of Synaptic Nexus list. Ourselves, New Zealand. And I spoke to David Gaylord about Nexus about 2 weeks before the submission. And I was like, I think this is the best attachment. And he went, I think I agree with you. And then Andorra have it as well, which is super interesting. I have been playing Nexus for as long as you've been playing Thousand Suns. I was planning on taking them if the Balanced Data Slate didn't happen. I was going to play Synaptic Nexus Tyranids. So it was a very nice present when I woke up and I was like, by the way, your army's better now. And I was like, holy crap, it is.
It got the Nexus list just got
dude, it's so much better than it was before the data slate, and I thought it was worth being an R8 before the data slate. So I am feeling very, very happy about the place we are as a team. I'm absolutely like super confident.
Talk a little bit about the Nexus list. What's in it?
So my Nexus list is it's a Hive Tyrant with the -1 damage enhancement. It's a Neuro Tyrant with the enhancement that makes him a Land Raider, Redeemer offensively. He doesn't get the +6 shots, but he's a lot cheaper. Parasite Immortrex with the -1 Leadership Aura and Death Leaper. I have 2 Maliceptors, 1 Exocrine, 3 Molochs, and then a bunch of scoring garbage, like 2 Gargoyle Squad, 1 Gargoyle Squad, 2 Hormigaunt Squads, 2 Neurolictors, a Pyrovore, a Biovore, and a Warrior Squad because I had 65 points in needed synapse. And oh man, is that list fun. If you have not experienced, like, it's not a super giveaway. If you've not experienced the pain of getting -4 battle shocked in your go turn, it is something incredible. I will say the lowest I've ever had a Thousand Suns player on Cabal points is 3 going into their turn 2. And they did not have fun that game. It is truly, truly something to behold. We have, it's a great fun list. I really enjoy playing it. And then, yeah, so cannot complain. And then our team has some fairly standard stuff outside that. We have a Sky Splinter Soldier Kari, we have a Renegade Raider shooting list, we have a very, very cool Retaliation cadre list. It was wild seeing the points drops on that faction. There's a bunch of Ret cadre that I feel like that's one that a lot of people might not have been expecting. There's a decent amount of Monka.
Yeah, there's 4 of them. There's 5 of them. There's 1 in
yeah.
pod 1, 2 in pod 2, and then 2 in pod 4.
Yeah, so we have Australia, Finland, Scotland, Singapore, Thailand, and Slovakia submitting Retaliation cadre, which I think is super cool. It's a very, very, very different army build to Monka or Kaoyun, and I really look forward to seeing how it performs across the tournament because it's got a very specific job, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how well it works out. And then, yeah, Bringers of Flame, Hypercrypt Legion. I think Hypercrypt Legion is one of the lists that stands out to me as being, oh, wow, we were not seeing this anywhere. And then it's like, as represented as Blood Angels at the tournament. It's like, man, does it just score points. It is insanely cool to see people like having very convergent thought processes, and I like some of those are triple monolith. Like I know Luxembourg have that, for example, but across the board, it's just very, very, very different and very, very cool. What
Dennis,
do you think
what
about
do you
the
think
Crusher
about the
list?
Crusher lists?
I was like this close to submitting Crusher. Like it was on my testing roster. I played it. I would comfortably say for me it's the second or third best hero detachment, depending on how well you rate Old One Eye in Invasion Fleet. Like I have Nexus at 1, Crusher and Invasion Fleet are kind of like spinning between 2 and 3, just depending on the situation. But Crusher really likes a light board, and we weren't looking for a light board defender. You play like the Rupture Cannon Tyranid effects with OC7 until they take damage. Well, your opponent's going to have to deal with them, so then they start hitting on 2s, and then they start wounding on 2s, and your opponent's tanks just start going away really fast. Same thing with Maliceptor's Rex screens or whatever you have. Moloch's very good for creating gaps, going through walls with Swarmlord and One Eye. Fantastic. It's a really cool detachment. It works really, really well. It just wasn't quite for me. My list is still called WTC 471, which is the White Dwarf that Crusher Stampede was in, because I do have a lot of monsters. But yeah, it's very, 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 very cool list. And I know with USA having it, like I fully expect to see them do incredible results with it. Eric Forsman playing it. But for me, it very much feels like a defender list. Invasion Fleet, I think, is great. It was the other kind of list I was generally trying. I think Old One Eye with Invasion Fleet rules with the lethal hits is one of the best issues in the game. With his detachment rules with Old One Eye with having lethal and sustained, like that unit is just insane, but it is still 400 points and it doesn't make an army. And I found the army around that wasn't what I was looking for. And then I have Vanguard in like a distant fourth because I think that detachment is just not that great. I think it's insane how many people are playing it, and I personally have a strong feeling that the only people who are doing well on Vanguard are people whose opponents haven't read the Vanguard rules. But we'll see how well that holds up going forwards. I expect to see a real drop off of that attachment over time. And it's like the one thing that I am the happiest I didn't go with is not submitting Vanguard. And like Lennon messaged me on the list like, I'm so glad you're not playing Vanguard. I knew I was right. And I'm like, yeah, of course you were right. Vanguard's fucking ass. But we'll see.
I did try to make it work. I will say that.
Oh, we all tried Vanguard. We were all
we
like,
were
let's
so
give
close
it a
to
go,
submitting
but...
Crusher. Crusher was one of the ones that we swapped out at the tail end, where we were just like, this works, but our player wasn't quite vibing with it, and we couldn't quite fit it in, and we put him on Drukhari, and the light bulbs turned on in his head, and he just started running over people.
And that's fair, right? Like Crusher is such a monolithic list, right? It's big dude, it's guard, right? Like it's just guard with a funny hat. So if that doesn't vibe with you, it's never gonna vibe with you, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I think we should do the last question, which is there anything you want to say to your team if they're watching, and anything to say for anybody who should be supporting Canada at the event?
Yeah, I just want to shout out the whole Canadian community. They've really bounded together this year. This is the first year that we've done like proper fundraising. We ran 6 or 7 fundraising events. It's helping to offset a lot of the costs of our hotel. And then the team in general is the best team. So more than anything else, I just want to shout out the rest of Team Canada. You guys are wonderful. You were loved. You were supported. I appreciate each and every one of you. I just absolutely adore the amount of work that they've put in this year and the commitment that this team has to like doing well and to owning their results has been nothing but fantastic. And then I would be remiss if I didn't shout out Dan at the Red Dragon again, because he has just done so much for the team. Just supported us so much, got us our dice, our objective markers, our jerseys, gave us a spot to practice. It's just been amazing. And yes, and I do want to shout out Scary. People keep asking in the chat, so I'm going to mention it now. Scary will not be joining us this year, unfortunately. He had to withdraw for some personal reasons, but he was at our practice weekend this year. This past weekend, he has been helping us get Drukhari up and running. And so while he will not be there, we are going to be bringing Archon Scary the model, so that the Archon Scary is at least present at the WTC, because it just would not be the same without him.
Hell yeah, man. Scary is such a positive force in the community. So the reason you support Canada is if you support Scary. There you go. Or if you want to see a team that has done a ton of work and has sadly slipped from its pool 1 position down to pool 2, you want to see it re-rise from the ashes of its failure last year.
Phoenix it.
Failure to close last year. You guys banned off coffee this year because coffee's for people who can close around. Cool. Cool.
How about yourself, Innes? Why should we support Scotland?
Why should you support Scotland? Because we're going to win our pod as a pool 2 seed, and who else? No one else is going to do that. Like, frankly, you'd be weird not to. Because we're a small community that does a ton of work, and I am super proud of the guys being able to put in the effort to, like, we flew to Poland twice this year to practice. That is something that I could not have imagined a team doing in previous years. We did it once last year, but doing it twice this year, it's so much extra practice. We booked a ticket to go to a team event on the Monday before it because we realized we could put 5 people together. So we just sent a team, and the team went down and they smashed it. Everybody's been putting in so much work this year that it really just having, like, we lost one of our best players this year, obviously, with Brian moving over to Team America, and seeing the team, moneyball and try to replace him in the aggregate has been a fantastic growth spiral over the course of the year, going from a very underwhelming Pyra to a pretty middling home nations to a very successful second Pyra. It just feels like we're on the up and up and up going into WTC, and I hope that we can surpass our year last year where we did fantastically and carry on to new heights and then take it even further. We are coming back. I've promised that I will not retire from Team Scotland captaincy until we do better than my first year playing, which was 3rd place. I will not until then. So if you want to support somebody we're going to keep pushing for that top.
So if you want to get rid of Innes,
if you want to get rid of me, all you need to do is have me win the event, and then I'll fuck off. So support me if you want me to fuck off eventually, I guess. That's probably not how that works. Bruce is probably
support
like,
him
oh my
if
God,
you
I
love him.
practicing.
That's what I'm going to say.
No, don't do that. No, because that'll make me upset.
I know, it'll make you real awkward.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it doesn't take much. So yeah, thank you so much to all of the Scottish community for bringing the practice. We've been doing community practice days and prepping people, and they've been great about keeping our lists hidden and doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. So yeah, root for Scotland if you want the best flag to be on the podium. That's the real answer. Even though I'm wearing a Canada shirt right now. Whatever. All right, with the namby-pamby bits out of the way, we're not going to bother doing plugs this episode. It's episode 100. We get some time off from doing that. I'll maybe shout out
everything's in all of our supporters.
Exactly.
We love you all.
I'll
very
shout
much.
out the Patreon.
Your links are down below
because we have to. Other than that, we're going to move on. We have 2 wonderful countries from the seed. I think you're both seed 3. Don't make me regret saying that. 2 seed 3 teams that are both coming in strong. We have Lehan from South Africa and Oliver Johnson. No, Oliver Johnson's a team from Australia. He's not New Zealand. What am I doing? Honestly, my head is scrambled. It's
New Zealand isn't even seed 3. They're seed 2.
Yep, this is the worst. Anyway, we have Lehan from South Africa and Oliver Johnson from Team Australia joining us to do the next segment of the show, which is going to be the same segment you've seen 3 times with some even more awesome people. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everyone.
Just a Lehan's tag.
honor and a privilege.
For anyone listening to this podcast, Lehan's tag is decolonize their matrix.
Oh, welcome to the show, guys. Oliver, start us off. Who are you? Why should people care? How is Australia feeling about WTC this year?
I'll start off with making you feel a little bit better, Innes. I am a New Zealand citizen, so I'm part New Zealand. So you instinctively knew.
There you go. I can just tell.
So yeah, I am a coach for Australia this year. Super proud. It's sort of been like a massive goal to ever since starting 9th edition and learning that there's this sort of international competition. I was like, I want to spend like all of my money like to fly to this. This sounds like an incredible investment. And so really excited to be part of this team, and I've really worked hard to sort of be a part of it all. I think the team is feeling really good. We've got a lot of fresh people, but we still have a couple of great sort of people that have been staying, like Soli and Jeremy, that have sort of been to these events previously, and previous coaches and captains and stuff returning. And everyone's feeling really good. Everyone's ready to prove themselves. As we know that the competition is stacked, and we know that the competition is always gunning to beat down Australia, the old underdogs.
You guys underdogs? And your average place over the last 2 years is 2 guys.
We're underdogs because we're at the bottom of the planet.
Oh, is that how that one works?
I thought you were at the top of your planet.
I don't know. On the maps, we're always on the bottom.
That's fair. Well, now let's speak to some actual underdogs. South Africa. How has it been going in the run up to WTC for you, Leon?
That's been going fantastic. Yeah, very excited to come back for our second year. Our first year was an incredible rush. It was a really, really incredible experience, like completely unmatched to anything we've had before. got utterly victimized by Poland in our very first round, and then hopefully this year we can repay some of that a bit and even the score.
Well, Jeremy, you're about to feel what it's like to get utterly victimized by Poland in your round. So, yeah. So let's do the easy bit. How are you both feeling about your pod draw? Lehan, kick us off. I'm going to kick the pods up again so everybody can see what we're talking about. Lehan, you've got England, Ireland, and China. How are we feeling about this one?
Oh, we're actually feeling very happy. We actually scrimmed China at the start of our WTC prep, so we're very excited to have them in our pod. Definitely excited to even the score there a bit, shall we say? We've encountered Ireland a couple of times over TTS leagues, and we love the Irish. And then, we can't complain about England in our pod. Having the softest tier 1 team in our pod is never a bad thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Rude will be gutted to hear that he's not the softest tier 1 team, but it is always good to keep Nassim on his toes from thinking that he might be good at 40k.
Exactly.
Oliver, how about yourselves? You have Italy, Norway, and Malta.
So I think we're feeling pretty good about this. We know Italy is a pretty decent seed 2 team, and Norway is definitely probably one of the best seed 3 teams around, which sort of balances out. We don't know much about Malta, but it's fantastic to be able to verse sort of the new teams on the block and get to see what they're bringing and everything. So we think that this is definitely going to be like a pretty solid pod. They brought some very powerful lists, and we're going to be prepping it pretty hard.
Yeah, very fair. Well, that rolls us straight into our next question then. Jeremy's disappeared on us as well. Great. Just like his points are going to disappear in pairings. How are you guys feeling list-wise? Anything that you guys feel like you missed? Anything you guys are looking at and you're like, oh man, that's really cool, or we regret not having that? How is it feeling from Australia and South Africa? I know Australia have one of the more out there team comps of the top teams as well, with more Terminators than most people can shake a stick at, and Stormlands Task Force. Talk to us.
It's not Australia for not bringing something weird and wacky, right? Like we can't break tradition in that regard. In terms of this, there's one shout out, which is to I forget the player, but in Malta, who has brought only Greater Demons. It's just such a Chad list of 2 Unclean Ones, 2 Bloodthirsters, 2 Lords of Change, and Bellicor. In terms of lists, other lists, I think what is funny is we sort of thought we didn't think that a lot of people were going to bring Chaos Knights. And we sort of made that choice to not bring them ourselves and all of that. And we're like, look, we're pretty happy that seems to be the case. Most teams have not brought Chaos Knights. And then we get potted with Norway, one of the few teams that has brought Chaos Knights, which is a bit of divine irony there. I think most of the lists, I think we're all, at least for myself, very happy to see that almost every team has brought something interesting. That you sort of see the same 4 or 5 pretty core solids like T-Suns and Grey Nuts and Blood Angels and that, but every team is Crusher, not many people out there, Admech, everyone's brought something spicy. In terms of pods that I'm particularly watching as well, it's definitely New Zealand's pod. I've flown over there to play with those guys and interacted with them, and I think they're looking really good this year, and I think they're one of the other C2 teams like Scotland that could punch up and come out 3-0, which would be very exciting, especially for their sort of very similar to us, a very fresh team with not many returning players. So, yeah. Yeah.
Anything you want to comment on with the faction choice of yourselves? I know, talk to me about the 30 Terminators in the World Eaters list. You don't need to tell me why, but just tell me what it was like. What was the other thing that could have been in that slot, or was it always 30 World Eaters Terminators?
Look, I think, Australia believes in faction specialism, so I think Dean's an absolute gun on World Eaters. So I think it was always going to be World Eaters. I won't deny there could be some part of spite, as we brought Terminators at ANZTC, and a bunch of European people were like, why is Australia bringing all these Terminators? What's their obsession with it? And we're like, bet. Let's bring 50 Terminators. It's an interesting list. I think it will catch people. We have a good purpose with it. We're obviously not paying $6,000, flying all the way over just for a laugh and a giggle.
Hey, we'll find out, won't we? As Nathan said at the beginning of the show, no team's wrong no team is wrong right now, but every team's wrong after WTC except one, right? So we'll find out, won't we? Leon, how about yourself? Anything that stands out on the list front as being something that you guys didn't have access, like you guys wish you had brought? Anything that stands out as being just super interesting you want to shout out?
So I guess the obvious answer from our perspective is we're one of the few teams that didn't bring sisters. Continuing our proud tradition last year, not bringing Red Knights in my Eldar list this year, not bringing sisters. Like, it wouldn't be South Africa, the WTC, if we didn't do something dumbass like that. To be perfectly honest. But as far as a list that we really liked, I think literally 3 players on my team immediately indicated that they thought Sean Hayden's Eldar list is incredible, and we all want to slam that down on the table about 4 seconds after WTC. The absolutely unmatched vibe that is Eric Forsman's Crusher list, we also really enjoyed. And at the risk of my GK player cancelling his plane ticket, every single Glade Knight list that does not have Canis, this is also something that we like.
There was not a ton of Canis Rex at this tournament. It was quite after like the uproar that was Canis Rex's data sheet is far too pushed. Oh my god, it's going to be insane. And then there was no Canis Rex at this tournament because everyone was like, does this guy just die to Magnus in one go? Oh yeah, cool though. Let's not bother.
There was a point where I versed Canis and I watched him fail to kill 5 Votan warriors, and I think that was like, this just ain't it.
I played
the day of list sub, my GK player and I played a game, and Canis shot at 2 World Eater spawn and didn't kill them. In fact, he didn't kill 1. Like, never mind 2. It was the funniest shit I've seen in my life.
Yeah, I played a game into when we were testing AdMech. I played a game into with Canis Rex, and I charged into like one of the AdMech Dune Riders with him, and was like, "Do you want to just pick that up, save us rolling the dice?" And then he went, "No, it's fine, do it." And then I rolled the dice out, and I killed it to the wound because I'd done damage with the stubber on the way in. I'm just like, well, it's not like that.
I love how that's the best data sheet in the Knight Codex.
It's the best data sheet in the Night Codex, and that's why there's 2 of them. To be fair, they're still more represented than Gene Star cults. So
True.
Oh Christ, isn't it?
Might even be the best data sheet in the AdMech Codex.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to ask Poland about how wrong they were about that one after the tournament, or how right they were. No, fair enough, guys. So yeah, what other pods are standing out as being interesting for you guys looking at? I know you already touched on this a little bit, Oliver, but Lehan, do you want to jump in on that one? And I'll throw the pods up again so everybody at home can have a look.
Yeah, so we really like the Austrian New Zealand pod. Obviously, we have a bit of a beef with New Zealand, with them being best newcomers last year. We would have loved to have them in ours and be in theirs. And then the same with the USA pod. We were really hoping to get in there, but can't complain with the one that we won, the one that we did get. But we're also very excited to see what happens with Pod 8. Speaking from our experience last year, like as a new country coming into a pod with someone like Poland or Canada, it was a great experience. So like really excited to see like Singapore, Thailand, what kind of experience they take out of that pod. Like it was fantastic for us last year. So hope they have the same kind of vibe.
Yeah, there's always a degree of whatever team, like C3 and 4 team that comes out of that is going to just be like brutalizing the other C3 and 4 teams if they come out with the right lessons from it, right? So yeah, watch out if you're Wales and Mexico, and if you're playing up against people that play against Latvia, like playing against Canada and Poland, I'm sure that'll be a great time. It's always really interesting watching kind of, as much as we all like to focus on who's going to win the tournament, seeing who wins best newcomer, which of the pool 2 seeds move up to pool 1, which of the pool 3 seeds move up to pool 2 is just as important and just as important a storyline for everybody else who's following the tournament at home. And it will be super interesting to see where, like New Zealand debuted into tier 2 last year. Where will some of these other teams do the same? Will all of them fall to the bottom, as I think is, the general expectation? But there's lots and lots of room for movement and really cool storylines at WTC. There are 320 players at this tournament. The people who win are not the only important ones. Unless you're Australia, in which case, win or go home, right? No. Cool, guys.
No,
anything else you guys want to? Sorry, no. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we move on to the message to the people at home? Listen, I know you sat here for 20 minutes waiting, so
I felt too awkward to leave after I joined to test my mic, so I just stuck around.
That's fair. I mean, whatever works for you, man. Well, in which case, we'll move on to the next section, and we'll have a short break in between. How do you guys want to talk to the guys at home, anything you guys want to say to your teams, anything you want to say to your communities, and for the international viewers who are either not supporting a team or don't want to support their team or their team's already eliminated, why should they support Australia and South Africa? Oliver, kick us off.
So I think my first shout out is to my wife to allow me to go, married for like a month and 3 weeks at this point, and she's letting me fly to Belgium. So very supportive of my hobby, clearly, and there's a lot I have to do when I get back, and a lot of favors and a lot of vacations I now need to take. So absolute shout out to Liz for letting me go, and for not grilling me for almost leaving my ring in New Zealand, which I did manage to get back. So we're off to a great start. A huge shout out as well just to the Australian community. We've got lots of friends in Queensland that have supported me a lot, and all the other guys have been incredibly welcoming and incredibly supportive and all that, with all the flying that we have to do to meet up and practice and all that. I know if you're in Australia or in that area, there is the Australian raffle going, like $6,000 worth of prizes. Always sort of trying to go that to help support the boys going. It's obviously a monolithic task and very expensive for us all to go. But yeah, just shout out to I think just the general community and all that. It's been awesome and everyone's super supportive. As for supporting Australia, obviously, we're a pretty big team. We're favoured in a lot of regards, and even having not sort of the returning members, I think everyone's still looking at us with why we're bringing weird lists, and we've still got some very gun players. I think though the best reason to support Australia is that we're bringing just such a fresh ensemble. It's not keeping to this sort of boys club or just bringing the same people over and over again. And if you want to see a bunch of people that it's their first time at WTC and proving that it isn't just the same group of 20 people that can hang internationally in Australia, it's all of the country, and we have a lot of players that are really capable of doing so.
Yeah, woe betide the team that underestimates Australia's weird lists, because it's worked every year that they've been out since pre-COVID, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, absolutely no reason they can't come out and absolutely leather a bunch of people. Thank you very much, Oliver. Lehan, same question for you.
So from my position, I'd just like to start with the team, and in particular, we're in the fortunate position to actually be able to bring 2 coaches this year. And coming from last year, where we really were just basically a bunch of friends and hangers-on who could go to a more formal structure this year, it's been incredible to see the amount of initiative that the team has taken, the amount of work that they've put in from their side, completely unprompted, the amount of effort and passion that the team and the coaches have put into this entire endeavor. Obviously, coming from all the way from South Africa is extraordinarily expensive and difficult for us to do. So the dedication that the team has shown in making that work and making that a reality has been incredible to see. And then to our 2 main sponsors, Yeti 3D and Dragonfire Designs, for actually getting us the models and stuff that we need. A big thank you to them as well. And then finally, just to our local community, every time you guys send us a message being invested in the team and saying this and this is happening, and telling us good luck, it really means a lot. And as far as why you guys should support South Africa goes, well, I guess we're in the pod with England. We're going to be pillaging the museums, taking back our artifacts. If we're going to make the anyone but England hashtag happen, this is where it starts. Watch out. Here we go.
If you want to see England go down in pods, root for South Africa. I think that is the single biggest endorsement that anybody has ever given for their team on this show. And I strongly am backing you guys to do that. Very best of luck. And you guys have Kyle Grundy coaching for you this year. How's he enjoying the conflict of interest there?
We had him last year. This year we have lost him, but we see it as pure golden psyop opportunities. Right.
That's fair.
You do a little bit of that ourselves.
Go and insert some bad matrix data for them.
Absolutely.
Here's the Recruit Hunting Pack. It's a really good detachment, even in Pariah.
Infighting and civil war. That's the motto.
Hell yeah, guys. Thank you so much for both of you for joining. We are going to let you both take a leave of absence. Lehan, I can't imagine it's early for you. Oliver, it looks like it's the start of your day. Thank you both for joining us. We will catch you both
Thank
at
you very
WTC.
much for having us.
Very best of luck with the rest of your prep. And we look forward to seeing you at Bar Popular.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Honor and a privilege.
Thanks so much, guys.
Have a good night.
All right. We have got another couple of seconds before we are joined by, I want to say it's Patrick, and do we have one Mr. Vanilla joining us?
I don't know. We should ping him to make sure he actually shows up.
Yeah, that's how this normally works.
I'm just now realizing what a pain this episode is going to be to edit.
Oh, dude, don't even I'm so sorry, but also I
I
couldn't
fly
imagine
out
having
tomorrow
not-
morning at
having
like
not
5
done it.
a.m. to Tacoma, so this might not hit the podcast feeds in time.
I mean, the simple answer is to just basically just do it the simplest possible way, right?
Yeah, it's
But
probably what's going to happen here.
yeah, that's fair. It's
I
all right.
do not know if Anthony has freed himself of the Erd tree.
Look, it doesn't matter if Anthony's freed himself of the Earth or not. It matters that his spirit. There he
Hey!
is. All right, we're going to go live a little bit early with our next section, which is the wonderful Patrick Woods of Team Norway and Anthony Vanella of Team USA. Welcome, both of you, to the show.
Hey guys.
Hello, hello.
How are we both today? How has the mood in the Norway and America camps been for the past week or so since we got lists and pods and chaos?
I mean, all other captains are just spineless cowards who refuse to take my bet, so I think that they've been quite good.
I've already lost mine.
But yeah, I mean, there's two people in this group who have Team USA tattoos because of me. So, and then there's also the renowned coward Liam Hackett who hasn't gotten his tattoo yet. So, hey up, big boy. I got the Aussie logo on my thigh. I'm looking forward to yours. So yeah, coming in with a little shit talk. Weirdly, I didn't get a whole bunch of shit talk about American lists yet this year. So I'm looking forward to that coming in soon.
It's because they're not public to everybody yet, right? It's Reddit that'll be shit talking them.
Yeah, no, it was mostly other WTC players last time.
I think they learned to put up or shut up after your
That's
performance
true.
last
There was
year.
a well-known Dark Angels player who shit-talked our captain's list pretty hard last year and still finished worse than him in individual performance.
Very fair. So Patrick, yourself, how's the mood in the Norway camp? Before I get drawn into Anthony's shit talk fucking engine.
I almost got him. I was so close.
Yeah, feeling pretty good. You've been talking about seed 2 teams trying to win their groups, but we're going to try to show you a seed 3 team that can win their group.
It's so weird thinking that he's been watching the show while we've been doing it while also being on it. I don't like that. I feel like you should be required to not having any prior knowledge before coming on.
I mean,
I'm at work. I have nothing else to do.
That's fair.
Which I probably shouldn't be saying about my work, but there it is.
Yeah, cool. Right, I'm gonna go over my question list before Anthony flusters me.
I'm so close.
Pod
I almost got him off track.
Dude, it's the worst. How are we both feeling about our pod draw? Anthony, kick us off. You have Hellas, Romania, and Slovakia.
So I think it's like an interesting group of teams. They will be fun to play. We played some of the Romanian boys at Alpine, right? So
yes, I don't know if they're part of the WTC team, but they were definitely there.
Yeah. So I don't know how much overlap there is between those two teams. But if there is, that round was fun. The person I played was super cool. So, hopefully there's some overlap, but I don't know them particularly well. We scrimmed Greece, I think, last year in the lead up. We may have done this year as well. I don't remember because I didn't participate in a lot of the earlier scrims in the year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to throwing down. I don't know a lot of the people's in our pod super well, so looking forward to making some new friends.
Yeah, very fair. Patrick, how about yourself? How does the pod of Australia, Italy, and Malta feel? We just had Oliveira, the coach from Australia, on talking about how they're feeling confident.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have, a team that won 2 years ago and came third last year. So it feels a little bit crazy to say that we want to go for an upset. But like Oliver did mention, it's not exactly the same team that did those things. Though, of course, they're probably still an extremely strong team. We have Italy, who I would say is probably the second best seed 2 team behind Canada. But I mean, last year they had a bit of a stumble and they finished 18th. So I think it's definitely possible. And Malta seem like a group of giga chads looking at their lists. So I think that's just going to be fun.
I finally looked at that demons list after you mentioned it. 7 demons. I didn't realize you could fit that. And it's with enhancements, 2,000 points
Yep.
on the nose. It's perfect.
On the
hero shit.
nose, that's the on the nose bit is the bit that impresses me
Yeah.
the most. There.
It's
That
not
is really
1995
cool.
or like 1980. No, it's 2000.
Clearly
Almost as
invented.
if it was planned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's doing better than Anthony at his own job.
Whoa. I am 2,000 points now.
Exactly.
Such a
It took you
disappointment,
so long to
Anthony.
get there.
It took a few balance passes and a free unit, and now my army's 2,000 points.
9 months of tweaking later.
It's been basically the same thing this whole time. Oh, my glaive is much worse now. That is important. It's very
The
sad.
best.
Your what is much worse?
My
The
glaive.
glaive on
Oh, your
the
glaive. Yeah.
on the Mo.
Yeah,
I've never heard anybody call it that before.
that's what it's called.
The berserker glaive. Yeah, the big guy with the big stick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the smack stick.
Christ. How do you both feel about your lists relative to the room? Anything that you guys are feeling like you missed out on? Anything that you think is super interesting that from the other teams that you think is worth shouting out?
So we have one of the best Grey Knights players in the world. So obviously we didn't take Grey Knights and put them on Crusher Stampede instead. We
Grey
didn't
Knights are
take
shit, dude.
CSM. Sorry?
Great answer, shit, dude. It's fine.
And we didn't
the other
take
teams are
CSM, though a lot of teams did. So it's going to be interesting to find out if that was a mistake by some or a mistake by the many. Either way, we're pretty sure we can deal with it. So there are some very interesting lists, some interesting choices. France not taking sisters is wild to me, but we'll see.
No sisters in current year is pretty gaming, dude. That's definitely a choice you can make.
That's fair. Anthony, yourselves, how's the USA camp feeling with its lists, with everyone else's lists?
Oh, we feel great. As any indication to how we feel right now, I would say our least confident player is probably Sean. So everyone should be terrified. So yeah, we're in pretty good shape. I think that broadly we're in like a more well-rounded place as compared to last year. And that, this has taken massive leaps year over year in the Team USA camp. Obviously, as we get, more and more like structure and well put together, and there are systems in place to keep us on the rails, and we work, continue to work with like our friends outside the country, like things get better and better every year. So this is just a continuation of that process.
Yeah, because how many of your players is this their first WTC playing?
None.
None?
I think none. Yeah, I think all of us will have it.
I was going to ask Anthony if he had anybody for the newcomer show, and he doesn't. So
nope, I do not. Most of the people on our team have a WTC ring.
Yeah, it's fairly impressive.
Yeah, we have a pretty good team.
Yeah. So you're saying nothing that you're like. So I suppose the question is: are there any lists you think are super cool from other rosters? If you're not feeling like you guys missed anything.
Yeah, I've seen a fair few that are really cool. I fucking love Grisha's sister list. I'm gonna play the fuck out of something similar to that once WTC is over. I've been having a lot of fun playing Penitent Host. I think that it is very similar to World Leaders, where if you're broadly uncomfortable with not having 700 units or, having the game played for you by the fact that you score all your trash, like score infinite points with all your trash automatically, then Penitent Host is probably really uncomfortable to play, which is why most Sisters players will be bad at it. But in general, that army's busted as shit. Jeremy's been on the receiving end of me guiding someone else's chainsaw. It was definitely an experience. Yeah, it is. It's a fucking sweet army. Yeah, there's a bunch of really cool ones in there. I think just like what WTC always does is that like I have like vague ideas of what a concept of something can look like, and looking at lists from other nations, like basically take the hammer to the darlings. Like I was like, holy shit, a list without castigators. Then I looked at Grisha's list and it has all this other stuff, and I was like, oh, maybe a list without castigators. All right, fucking fair enough.
400 points that you can spend somewhere else.
Yeah, fucking all right, cool. So stuff like that. Yeah, there's just like a bunch of like, it's little things, right? That like it's the little tech pieces from different lists that are like pretty sweet. I I've seen a lot more 18 Bulgren than I expected to. That shit's pretty hot. That's like a man's guard list. I love that shit.
Don't call what Nassim is playing a man's guard list. He'll get big headed.
No,
that's
go,
okay.
Go look at John's list, and you'll be a little bit happier.
Yeah, Nassim can have a big head about his guard list. His guard list is cool. It doesn't have indirect. Any list without indirect in guard is cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sort of stuff is sweet. I think that people that only brought a bunch of tactical marines in their Thousand Suns lists are cowards. So that's like the opposite end of the spectrum. Not enough thickness. I can't imagine not playing Magical Chaos Knights in current year, dude. Get it together.
Very fair.
They give you the option to do this, and you just reject it. How dare you? Truly. I think that a lot of teams got gaslit by their Eldar player into not taking Eldar by their, like, as Eldar players do. They just were like, it's bad, when it's like one of the most broken armies ever to see the table. So, that's where we're at. It's a really interesting meta. I think, like as an example, right, between us and Poland, there are 2 common factions. That is crazy. Like, absolutely wild.
Yeah, and I think the hilarious thing is that you'll both sit there and be like, we don't feel like we missed anything, while having 6 completely different factions, right?
Yep.
So
yeah,
and neither of you are, as Nathan said,
neither
neither of you are wrong.
Yep.
And even on the 6, they brought Stormlance Space Wolves, and you brought Dark Angel Gladius. They're really
is it not the? I think it was 2 other factions, Custodians and Sisters, that are shared, right?
We don't have Custodians.
Oh, no, you don't.
They don't have Custodes.
What am I thinking?
Don't we both have Sisters?
They both have Sisters, and they both have Marines, and that's it. Everything else is different.
Yeah, I thought our comp would be pretty novel because it has, me in it, so it has world leaders, and I didn't think there would be tons of that. But there's actually like a weirdly fair amount of them.
There's more world leaders than guard.
Yeah, like that's weird.
That's right. I think the one we have to ask you, Anthony, what do you think of the Australian world leaders list?
I think that what it's trying to do is not a thing that you need an army to do. Specifically, it is not a thing you need world leaders to do. Basically, once lists went live, I tried to.
You both have T-Sons and Sisters. That was shared.
Yeah. Once I've tried to look at that list in a bunch of different scopes, and I don't get it, man. Yep, those are Terminator. Maybe my only assumption is that Dean has insanely dope Terminator models. Like, his Terminator models are fucking sick. And he was just like, dude, these guys are awesome. And that's it. That's what we got. It's the nice art of lists,
It looks like Red Custodes.
Yeah. And that it might well be. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we play Mirror and he fucking throws me through the table. But he wouldn't be the first Aussie captain to lose a tattoo bet to me. So
He would be the first one to lose a game to you, though.
That is true. Yeah, that's objectively accurate. Liam beat the fucking dog shit out of me when we played. That was true.
Very fair. Patrick, same question to you before Anthony monopolizes all of your shared time.
I already answered this question.
Yeah, that's true.
That's fair. Anthony monopolizes so hard that I forgot. All right, next question. What pods look interesting for you guys watching from the outside, whether it's for seeing how your competition performs into similar comps as you, or just wanting to see somebody get the brakes beat off them? And I'll throw the pods up again for anybody following along at home.
You can lead, Patrick.
I'm excited to see America score 150 points 3 times in their pod.
Aww.
But no, seriously though, for me, I think pod 3 has to be the most interesting one. The battle of the Scandinavian countries and South Korea.
How well do the South Koreans handle their alcohol?
I guess we'll find out.
Well, they don't have Finland in their pod, which is lucky for them. If they did, they would be in serious trouble.
Unlikely to come out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the French are about to be drunk under the table, incredibly enough. Honestly, it's. I mean, obviously, everybody's paying the most attention to their own pod, but I think our pod is interesting because we have 2 historically really, really strong teams who maybe haven't put in the best showing in the last year, and so might be there for the taking. We'll see.
Yeah, and that's more like Italy not having a great showing last year, and then Australia having a fundamental rebuild of their roster, right? Is kind of where that's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Australia came third last year, which is not at all, bad. But looking at the list of players, I think there are 2 returning from those 2 years of
Jeremy
first and
Martino
second.
and Matt Morrisoli.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, fair play. All right, guys, let's roll on to the. I keep clicking the wrong button.
Just skip my answer, Eunice.
No, go for it. I mean, I just assumed you were going to say no. I'm only watching my faction.
Oh no, actually, my answer was actually your pod. So my earnest hope. I've been manifesting for weeks trying to get you in our pod, and that didn't work. But what it did instead do is land you in a pod you are likely to win. So my hope, my down in the bottom of my heart hope, is that you guys just fucking smash your pod and come into the Swiss second, so that we can play.
You could just like submarine your pod, come into it 9.
That's just like not a thing that we're capable of.
We'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
Fair enough, guys.
I would love to live in a world where I thought my team was capable of submarining, and that's just like not a realistic thing for the competitive brains stapled to all of our players.
That is a very true statement that I strongly agree with.
Yeah, it's just not a thing that's going to happen. I mean, you're no stranger to getting offered a round score and then telling them, no, we're going to farm them for points.
No, we're coming for points. Yeah, 100%. All right, guys. Last general questions for the both of you then. We'll start with Patrick. Is there anything you want to say to the fans, the players, anybody at home for Team Norway, and for anybody international who is watching who might either be undecided on who they're supporting, doesn't have a team to play, or just doesn't want to support England? Why should they support Norway?
First of all, very quickly, just want to point out that in the chat, Brian is saying to Liam that I'm saying he ain't shit, and I've said nothing about Team Belgium this podcast.
Yeah, you have. You said you thought that Belgium weren't one of the best 2 pool 2 seeds.
Isn't Belgium in seed 1?
No.
Then I take that. I take that back.
He takes it back immediately. Fuck you, Italy.
Yeah, I immediately take that back. Sorry. My team this year, we went from, I think, 16 or 17 applicants last year for the WTC team, up to 36 this year. The community has really gathered around the team's project and the national team in a way that I think is incredible. We have sponsors that have made it possible for us to travel to several international tournaments as the full 8. And everybody's locked in and practicing in a way that just is miles and miles ahead of what we've seen in the last 2 years. So I am cautiously optimistic that I'm pretty sure we're not going to be a seed 3 team after this year. I hope I don't eat my own words on that one, but no, it's oh God, what exactly has to happen for Norway to go from the top of seed 3 to seed 4?
Yeah, a rough weekend, Patrick, is what has to happen.
Our people are making a lot of money.
It's going to be good, and if somebody wants to have a team to support, I think the true rising underdog story of the pod phase this year might very well be the seed 3 team in pod 6.
Hell yeah, man! We are all rooting for you, unless one of the other teams that you're playing against are in the pod as well. In which case, we're rooting for them. Just depends who's on the show at the moment, really.
That's right.
All right, Anthony. Same question for you.
I mean, we've had like huge growth over the last 2 to 3 years at this point. We picked up some like pretty real sponsorships that are like owed in part to some groups taking on like significant amounts of feedback from us and trying to improve in their own way. One of those is Frontline Gaming. Actually, they've had a great turnaround recently. A lot of the like progress you see that they've made towards things like Champs Cup and stuff like that has come from Team USA feedback. And we have like a really good working relationship with them now. So big shout out to Frontline for trying to change and step into the modern era of 40K. And obviously other shout out to our other largest sponsor, the Red Dragon. So yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
Van's just like collecting infinity rings, right? He's got all the he's got all the
If Canada
stones.
can't do it, he'll be like, I'll get my name on a podium
Yeah, he's
somehow.
like, someone's getting in the fucking podium.
Yeah, if the best podium would be like the three of us, 1, 2, 3, because Dan could
Yeah.
just be on all 3 podiums.
That's right. Yeah, Red Dragon logos on everybody's right shoulder.
No, Dan would be there physically on all 3 podiums.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's just him with like all the thing, like him holding 2 medals. So yeah, it's been a good year. We've had a lot of growth as a team, like as a unit. The systems in play are kind of working out. We had like an insane application total last year. I think we finished with like 60 apps of people looking for like 4 spots that we had open in the academy. So that was pretty tight. So yeah, it'll probably be a pretty similar situation next year. Obviously, now that we have like clearer methods of how to grind your way into Team USA from being top 100 elo, people have like access to that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to things continuing to grow. I'm terrified for my own ability to start next year because half of our team gets razored off the roster every year. So yeah, fucking good luck, future current American starters, but that's a future us problem. We're not really going to focus on that right now. It's all about making it through the pod right now.
That's a problem for the 20th of August, right? Like once
Yeah,
it's all over and you're home and recovered.
Not even then, dude. I'm not getting. Oh yeah, I guess the 20th of August. I'll be home by then. That's true. I'm not. I'll be back from Poland by then. I will say going directly to Poland after WTC, if we like beat them in the finals or something, a little risky, but I think it should be okay.
Okay. Pumbaa will keep you safe, right?
Yeah. No, I don't think Pumbaa can keep me safe. I think Typhus, however, will be able to at least talk us out of me getting into beat up. So,
I don't necessarily think that's true.
Typhus is a slick dog, man. He's got.
The last question there was, why should somebody support America if they are watching the show from home? And obviously, we all know the saying is anyone but England and probably the USA.
Yeah,
you put a lot of work into that, probably. Why is that there?
The real answer is that you probably shouldn't, man. You probably should root for like a tier 3 team that's like on the up and up with some scrap, or like either of the tier 2 boys here, and root for them and get them over the finish line. But if you're American, your fucking hard-earned tax dollars go not to us; they go to Raytheon. But you're in theory, they go to us, and you should vote and try and root for us. So, America.
If you're one of those people who likes to vote for whoever's the best at the moment,
yeah,
don't vote for the USA. Vote for Poland.
No, vote for US. God damn it.
We'll see at the end of the pods if Poland's still worth supporting.
Well,
bandwagoners can run over to America.
Yeah,
then.
you can switch whenever. That's fine.
I'm willing to have a weird tattoo bet that America will win this year.
Oh, I can't engage in that. Like, that's useless for me.
Bet against me, Anthony.
Funny, but not good.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being with us. Very best of luck to both of you with the rest of your WTC preparation. I hope all your matrices are green and all your pairings go well. Anthony, I'm sure we'll see you next week when we have episode 101. You'll probably be back. People complained that you weren't here from the beginning this time, let alone that you were just going to be on. Yeah. 6 people at once was going to be too much, Anthony. Thank you so much for joining us, both of you. Very best of luck, and we will catch you in a couple of weeks at Bar Popular. Anthony, we'll see you on Tuesday. Have a great time, guys. All right, we are just going to wait 1 second. I'm going to fire a message off.
Did Iyer fall asleep?
Iyer. Sorry, I'll give him a second. We have Andreas from Greece sitting waiting, and Iyer is keeping him waiting, just like the Icelandics, like they abandoned the Nordic Cup. Oof. All right, I'm going to go refill my water. Vamp for 2 minutes.
All right, that sounds good. All right, chat, you got to keep me entertained for a couple minutes while he refills his water. There's Iyer. I'm just going to add them both in right now, and we're going to make fun of Ennis while he's gone. All right, so Manigan, Andreas from Team Hellas, I believe, and Iyer from Team Iceland.
Hey,
folks. How are you guys both doing?
It's 3 a.m. in Greece, and it's really hot, so good.
I had to turn off my AC. It's probably hotter for you than it is for me right now.
Is it hot in Canada?
35.
Okay, that's
36 right now.
That's pretty hot for Canada. I don't know. I've never been.
We get cold, we get hot, we get a little bit of everything. We don't get as hot as you guys do. Simple as that.
Yeah, like
Hey, we've got an Ayer on screen.
And Ayer and Andreas. Welcome to Andreas and Ayer of Team Greece and there we go, Iceland, respectively. Thank you both for joining us at what cannot be a fun hour for either of you. Well, certainly for Andreas. How
That's
are you
okay.
doing? How has everything been in the prep up to WTC between the end of list submission, seeing everybody else's lists, seeing all the faction choices? How is it feeling? Andreas, kick us off.
Okay, so we are glad that Blood Angels and Sisters are a thing. We were actually really worried that we would see like Space Wolves. I mean, there are Space Wolves, but Blood Angels are like more than Space Wolves, so that's good, I guess, for the choice. When we played in Alpine, 5 of us went to Alpine Cup. Space Wolves were really good as we play tested them over there, and we were not sure that people would choose Blood Angels or even Dark Angels over Space Wolves. So that's one good thing, and we feel pretty good about most of our lists. Maybe except a couple of changes, a couple of last minute changes, like everybody does, I guess. Like Chaos Knights, that was a last minute thing because we did not actually get CSM. We extensively trained them for like a month, Soulforged, Raiders, all that thing. We did not get it. So we decided to go with something safer. That's Chaos Knights. That's the only thing that maybe we're not sure about, but we'll see how it goes.
Very fair. Ayer, how about yourselves?
Yeah, been doing great. The team has been doing a lot of work. Most of them more than me, so I'm just kind of floating by. Yeah, I think we're pretty happy with the final lineup. Jökull has some really good ideas and plans for the whole thing. And yeah,
yeah, I mean, going down the lineup, you guys have Votan, World Eaters, Death Guard, and Skitari Hunter cohort. There are definitely some interesting faction choices. So it will be very interesting to see how well it holds up. You've got the 4 most popular factions with Space Marines, Thousand Suns, Sisters, and Grey Knights, and then we take a drop off the cliff down to Votan, and then all the way down to Skitari Hunter cohort, which is shared with Poland.
Yeah,
So
I think it's
surely
10,
you guys...
13, 15, 17 ranked in popular. Yeah, Hader had an epiphany, so he's running a Hader list in AdMech, which is fun. It's gonna be good.
Very, very brave.
Dude, you have to face that thing. It's fucking yeah.
Very fair, guys. I'm glad there is. It's always great to see just this level of diversity. And for Greece, you guys have Chaos Knights is definitely your most out there faction. You went with Vanguard Onslaught Tyranids. You have Leagues of Votan as well. So definitely a Votan lovers podcast here. Jeremy will be very upset that he's not playing the short dwarves. So yeah, very fair. No. Next up, we have how do you both feel about your pod draws? So we'll throw the pods up again for everybody at home. We have USA, Greece, Romania, and Slovakia. We just had Anthony on the show, speaking Andreas, so they're feeling very confident. How is Greece feeling about theirs?
Yeah, so we're going to beat the crap out of the US. Easy. Okay, just kidding. Okay, so historically, Greece has not been one of the best teams. The last 3 years, we are really trying to make this work. There's not a lot of people who does that in Greece. It's like, I mean, in Poland is like what, 1,000 competitive 4K players. In the US is like 1 million. In Greece, it's like 30 people playing 40K, and that's like 12 of them know the Pariah Nexus, and that's it. And TTS has been the main reason why we have been improving the last couple of years. 2022, we were top 18. 2023, we were top 16. Got an honorable mention from Nanavati, who actually said, and I quote, Greece has been historically one of the worst teams in the game. So for them to get top half is good, I guess. That's like the
When you're one of the weaker teams, you cling on to every compliment you get. I know that feeling, Andreas.
yeah. So actually, we think it's realistic for us to get top 10. I know a lot of people do not believe that, but we have been prepping a fucking lot. We have been actually, the funny part here is that one of the teams that we have prepped with the most this year is Romania. We have done like 4 or 5 scrims with them the last couple of months, and it's like we're in the same pot. Shit.
Always happens. Can't avoid
yeah,
it. Seems to be the curse of
yeah.
WTC. If you prep with somebody, you will pod with them. If you're like a pull-through team.
It is a really tricky pot because, okay, you got US, which is okay. And then you got Romania, we are seeding group 2, and it's the first year that we are seeding group 2. So we are not really seeding group 2. So we are kind of tight with, with Romania. And then you have Slovakia, which is not really Slovakia because half of the players are from the team Zugzwang. If you guys been to Alpine Cup, they finished like 3rd, and they are like they are German players who are not in German WTC for some reason. I don't know, their internal drama or something, but they are in half of them are in Team Slovakia, and they are pretty good players. I mean, even online and in Alpine Cup as well, they did pretty good. So it's a pretty tricky pot for us. We hope that US does not come unscathed out of it. I'm not saying we are going to win this, but we hope we are going to give them a tough time, and we are really excited about it.
Just make them work for it.
Yeah, it's Purge the Foe, so yeah, you have to get the points, bro. Not
it's
me.
It's a messy old mission to catch them in the last round. How about yourselves?
What was the topic?
How do you feel about your pod draw?
Oh yeah, I am so hyped for Nord Cup. The group.
Are you going to skip this one as well?
What? Yeah, no. Okay, so, what would have happened is that we only had like 3 or 4 players from Iceland actually able to go. For myself, I was scheduled to have a baby like a few days before then.
Congrats, bro.
Few days after Nord Cup. Baby said to come 2 weeks earlier, so
it's such a funny joke. You can't get rid of our joke. How are you feeling about the pod draw before I go too deep off the end on this one?
Yeah, just go for it. I think it's good. We've scrimmed both Sweden and Denmark. I mean, I think we're just gonna go confident into it. Doing a bit of research into South Korea, obviously, because they are unknown. Mostly, I mean, some of the guys have been playing in US events, and yeah, so we have a little bit of info there, but
all you need to know is their Marine player brought a Fire Strike servo turret.
Oh yes!
Oh
dude.
shit!
What a hero! I should know that. You should have done his mate. Have you not done your mages already?
No. Players doing the mages on time.
It would be weird, wouldn't it? Fair enough. All right. Next question on the roster: are there any cool lists that you feel like are worth shouting out from other teams?
Poland Custodes. What?
Hey man, they got those all those witch seekers. What's not to love?
Yeah, I mean, cool. I guess I play Monka, so let's go. I guess I don't know. Maybe other people are having a tough time with it, but Custodes. I mean, it's Poland. They must know something to do it, right? Jokes aside.
Look, we played against it at Pyra. They know something.
Okay. And Canadian Tiger Shark. Shout out to Canadian Tiger Shark. After the nerf, the turn you arrive, you do not do anything. I was like, okay, guys, maybe I should try one Tiger Shark and Rapid Ingressate. And they were like, no. I'm like, okay. I'm like, see Canada, but nobody else. But so shout out to that guy.
Zach is definitely
Zach
a
loves
Chad
it.
Tao player. It's gonna be fun. It's his first WTC, so.
Oh, okay.
Very fair. Ayer, how about yourself? Any cool lists that you think are cool to shout out?
So my list before submitting would have been Soulforge, and in that list I had a Cornlord of Skulls, and there is a Cornlord of Skulls going to be, I think Cyprus is bringing one. And I'm just so hyped to see how that goes. Yeah, I would have liked to know about the Skark Raiders tank list.
He's just shooting.
Yeah, I know, but I like shooting.
He's shooting and killing you.
It's really good at shooting. I don't know if anybody read that list. It wasn't like, oh wow, you really just can play the simplest version of Renegade Raiders and it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, why was I trying to be smart? Oh, just shoot things. Got it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the Skark way in a nutshell. And man, does it work. Yeah, fair play. Any other pods you guys are keeping an eye on? Anything that you think is super interesting? Any ones that you want to watch for, your competition, whether that's the other Pool 2 and 3 teams or Pool 1 teams that you want to see if they're going to be falling down into the bracket that we're likely to be mucking about in?
Well, pot 10 seems very interesting because Belgium and Germany. I don't know about Czech Republic. I don't know how good they are, but it does seem an interesting pod. Spain and Andorra also, they do have some kind of some of the Andorran players are Spanish, I think.
Yeah, they have Angel was one of their players last year who's moved over to Andorra this year.
Yeah, see, I'm always looking for drama. I don't care about the 40K.
I mean, if you want drama, look at Latvia's team. They got 2 Canadians.
Oh yeah, Poland and Canada. That's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be very interesting.
No, it's gonna be real simple.
We're Canada, man.
I wish I could say I'm sorry, but no, Jeremy, it's gonna be.
Well, you're not Canadian, so you can't say you're sorry. Although I did see that you broke your promise. You said you were going to bring a real army this year.
Yeah, I know.
Ayer, what are you playing this year?
I'm on Death Guard.
Why? Did you read the rules?
I did. I have.
You sure?
Yeah. I'm reading at 3rd grade level, so just give me a break.
Oh, okay. Maybe you just hit the point where Liam VSL took them to Worlds. Then maybe that's what you've got enough for right now.
No, this was an executive decision by our captain.
That's fair.
I'm gonna trust him. I'm gonna play the
best you can, man. It's all we can do.
Yeah.
Fair play. All right, guys. I have one last question for you both. Is there anything you want to say to communities at home, whether that's in Iceland or Greece, or to any of the international fans who might be looking for team support because they just don't want to support England or because their team isn't attending this year for whatever reason?
Well, I just wanted to say that even though we're 12, 15, something like that, we work pretty hard. And we have friends all over the world that help us with information, list building, playtesting, coaching. And it's really hard to do this when you're 10 people. So if we manage to do top 10, we'll be really, really, really happy. I think we can do it. I think we have prepped a lot. I think a lot of people underestimate us. And I think we... this year we have traveled a lot. We have played a lot online and offline, and we are very excited to play all the teams that we are going to.
Very fair. And the Greeks, they are such an incredible presence in the online community and at tournaments. Seeing them at Alpine, seeing them hosting all the Greek camera stuff, truly, truly a wonderful group of guys, and very, very, very deserving of your support.
Thank you, guys.
Especially because I know the situation that happened with the Greek team coming from the ETC times where it
that was huge drama.
The amount of work that the Greek team has put in a very short space of time is truly commendable. They do not have the pedigree or the history of a lot of teams, and they're still putting in work and still doing fantastically. Very, very, very worth keeping an eye on.
You may say that you're not a C2 team, but you are well deserving of that spot right now. And
Thanks,
I
guys.
look forward to hopefully playing against you guys in person after having scrimmed your team a couple times over the years.
Exactly. If someone else wanted that C2 spot, they should have won it. Ayer, how about Iceland?
So I mean, we're in the Nordic Cup group, so I think the Finns should support us because we're not Swedish. I think the Norwegians should support us because we're neither Denmark nor Sweden. I think, yeah. By the way, I just figured this the financial crash invitation. Greece and Iceland have a. Hey, thanks, Jeremy. Never mind. Whatever. Yeah, I think I can relate to Greece. Like, when all of the Icelandic players come together, we don't reach the 24 people like minimum for GT to count.
We should make a joint team or something.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, there's like 30 players in Iceland. Yeah, so we just try and make it work. I think the skill is really good, and I'm really proud of the scene at home and the guys that have been keeping it running through. Yeah, for the last whole bunch of years. So shout out to them, shout out to Blöndal, and yeah, I think people should pay attention because we're like a small underdog C3 gonna raise some hell.
Oh yeah, guys! Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. I look forward to catching up with both of you at the event and seeing you at the bar and having a great time. Very best luck with your groups, unless we're speaking to one of your competition, in which case I hope you get smashed. And there is one. Thanks so much for being with us, guys. I realize it's an absolutely miserable time of day for you both. Have a great evening, and we'll catch you all in Belgium. All right, we have one more interview, which is a singular interview because we had one person who was willing to time it out to the very end of the stream. So we are joined now by Marios from Cyprus, who is here to tell us all about Team Cyprus and their travails at the WTC. How are you doing, Marios?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Doing very well. At the end of we are 2 hours and 50 minutes into the stream. I am very, very eager to get done, but also very eager to hear about your opinion on the event. So,
yeah,
tell us, how is Cyprus feeling rolling into WTC this year?
We're feeling much better than last year. Like last year, we're very inexperienced, obviously. First year, lots of people didn't have like competitive experience, really. Playing competitive 40K. So we were able to build the team from basically nothing, and this year we put a lot more hard work. We feel really good about our lists, which I cannot say that was the case last year, as evident by the results. Results don't lie. But yeah, this year we feel much better.
Good. Glad to hear it. So, rolling that in, just having a look down your list roster, we have Stormlands Task Force Space Wolves, we have Thousand Suns, Bringers of Flame, Canoptic Court, still sticking it out with the good old Wraiths, Invasion Fleet Tyranids, Soulforge Warpack, Chaos Space Marines, and then Astra Militarum and Chaos Knights are the little spice on top of the pile. Not diving all the way down there into the Chaos Demons, Imperial Knights, and Gene Circults, but certainly trying some of the more weird esoteric factions. Is there anything, when you were going through all of the other lists, looking at the other pool, all the other pools of teams, anything you're like, man, I wish we tried that, or if we'd had a player for that, it would have been great to have that?
I think one of the armies would have been Tau, in my opinion. We didn't have a Tau player really. I think Tau, a Monka list, heavy on like Hammerheads, Ghost Kills, Riptides, something to that effect. We did try Grey Knights, but we felt better with. I tried Grey Knights, and then I felt better with going with Astra Militarum. Basically, most of our lists have a similar philosophy, which is easier to pilot. Makes it so that, like, less susceptible to mistakes, stuff like that. So just basically reduce the effect that mistakes can have on the game, essentially.
That's very fair. What would you say your guys' goals are for this year as Cyprus coming into the tournament?
Get a win. Get a win. At least the draw, but the win is definitely the goal. It would be huge for us.
That's very fair.
And just have a great time.
Well, I mean, that's impossible not to do, right? So,
That's fair.
how are we feeling about our pod draw with Germany, Belgium, and Czechia for Cyprus?
So we are realistic. We know our chances with Germany and Belgium are quite low to be optimistic. For Czechia, not underestimating Czechia. They did better than us last year, but I think it was one of the better draws for us from top 3, from C3. Like, for example, some of the higher teams like Norway, Romania, that would have been much more difficult. Against Czechia, we feel like we have a good chance of challenging them and trying for a good result. Against Germany and Belgium, really, we're just going to enjoy it. One of us is going to play against Liam, which that would be interesting. So yeah, we're excited. We're excited to play against those guys.
No, it's a really great attitude, guys, and it truly is. It's one of those ones where you guys played the USA last year, right? And I'm assuming you guys learned a ton from that round, and getting to play 2 of the higher quality teams of the event. I would feel rough getting drawn into this pod with Belgium and Germany right now as a pool 2 seed, and I'm sure there's pool 1 seeds that we're looking at being like, if I had to be in Cyprus' spot, I would be having a bad time. So it's completely understandable.
It's for real. Yeah, like Belgium is they have one of the best players in the world in Liam, which the less effect like a single player can have on a 8-person team, but I mean, Belgium last year, I think they drew with Australia. I think it was a draw with Australia.
Sounds right.
Something like that. And I think they had them on points. It was like 83-77 Belgium, something like that. I might be misremembering, but obviously a great team. So yeah, those 2 matchups will be extremely hard, but gonna have some fun.
No, entirely fair. So outside of your own pod, which pods are looking interesting to you? Whether it's obviously one of the things that other teams always have different perspectives of, you'll be paying attention to a lot more of the pool 3 and 4 seed teams that other teams aren't necessarily paying as close attention to. So what are you looking to keep an eye on as far as some of the new teams, some of the other pool 3 and 4 seed teams that you're expecting to be playing against for the remainder of the tournament?
So basically the way we are doing our preparation is we are estimating on which teams we're going to be playing. And to be fair, looking at the pods, I think the most interesting pod for us would be pod 5. USA, Romania, Greece, and Slovakia. Because I think anyone can be 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. I think USA is the clear first. And I think after that, those 3 teams, Greece, Romania, and Slovakia, I think they're quite close in strength. So it would be interesting to see what happens there, I think. I think apart, everyone likes to look on the top of the pods. I think that one is probably the most interesting in terms of strength of the teams.
I think it's really great how we've had 14 people on this show and not a single person said England's pod looks interesting.
Yeah, aside from them just saying Ireland beats them.
Exactly, which I think is absolutely true. No, very fair. Okay, are there any lists from across the rest of the tournament that you think are worth shouting out as being particularly cool, whether it's for your faction or for something else? I know you mentioned Canada's Tiger Shark earlier.
Canada's Tiger Shark was mentioned. I'll say the 30 Terminators and War Eaters and Dean is bringing is quite interesting. Double Rampager is interesting because I don't know. It seems like it counters one of the issues that the Rampager used to have, which is go straight, try to kill something, and then just die miserably. Now you can have 2 Rampagers doing that. But I would also say that Green Tide, I think it's came out of left field that both Israel and the USA are bringing. Yeah, I didn't expect anyone to be playing Green Tide, honestly, after the nerfs. So we were actually looking into orcs, and then we switched our orcs player into Tyranids. So I think we're happy with that.
Yeah, we had a similar experience. We switched our orcs to custodes after trying to make them work, and we went.
That's fair.
We switched our orcs to Votan and then Necrons. So
I was very
why are we
close to
not just
pulling Chris
scoring
off
points with
custodes, but he
Necrons?
wouldn't move.
Very fair. All right, Marius, finish us off.
Yep.
Is there anything you would like to say to the Cypriot community back at home, or why should anybody who is watching the event from home and is looking for team support because either their team isn't attending or they're just English and don't want to support England, which is entirely reasonable, why should they be cheering for Team Cyprus?
Well, I think Gilles from Luxembourg said earlier they're the true underdog. I think we're the true underdog. We came last year. Everyone should be rooting for us to get our maiden victory in the event. Like it's for us, it's huge. Like because the community in general, the competitive community in Cyprus is so young. Like everyone's really excited. Everyone's really supportive. So it's quite big for us. Like 3 of my teammates are up now. It's 3:30 in the morning, and they're up watching the stream. Hello guys. But yeah, it's huge for the community. We even our last GT was even a golden ticket event, which is quite big for us. So yeah, we're excited because, like I said, new community. We're building the competitive scene right now, and we're excited. Big steps.
So support Team Cyprus if you want to see a team get their first win and celebrate for it alongside them, and if you want to see a fledgling community that's putting a ton of work in and really showing rewards for it over the course of years. It's a great thing to hear, Marius. Thank you so much for staying up till 3:30 with us on the show. I'm so sorry that the slot was the earners got disappeared. Best of luck at the tournament. I can't wait to see you all at Bar Popular again.
Oh yeah.
And very, very best of luck with the rest of your prep. I hope you get your win in pods, and then you've got 4 rounds of house money. But we'll wait and see how it goes. Unless you play us, in which case, of course, can't be rooting for you. Sorry about that.
Yes. No, I know that.
Thank you so much for being with us, Marius. Have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your prep.
You too.
We'll see you in Belgium.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Oh, that's us, Jeremy. We're done. We're through 2.5 hours. I
think that's the longest episode of Stat Check. The other shows have had longer episodes. I think that's our longest episode to date.
It's 1:30 in the morning for me. I realized I was saying that after Marius just did it till 3:30 doing it is very different. But no, truly, thank you so much, everybody, for being with us for episode 100 of Stat Check. We're gonna probably vamp for a couple of minutes here. It's been, I mean, we've been doing this for 2 years as Stat Check now, because we've had a couple of weeks off. So this basically represents 2 years of Stat Check now. And obviously we had 40K Fight Club for 4 or 5 months before that. So coming up for 2.5 years of doing this with Stat Check and with Jeremy, Nathan, Cliff, and Anthony, and then obviously all of the other guys who've come on as limpets since then. It's truly an incredible community to be a part of and to have helped grow and helped direct over the course of the past 2 years. And thank you so much for everybody who watches all the live shows every week, who's a supporter on the Patreon, who leaves comments on the YouTube videos, anything you guys do that just like helps us keep doing cool things for the community, things like this, right? The fact that we have the reach to just drop a message into 12 captains' invoices and be like, hey, do you want to come and record at 3:30 in the morning? And having the captain from Team Cyprus show up and be happy to do it means so much. Coming from where we were in the competitive community 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, it's grown so much and it's so awesome to see. And I'm so proud of everything that people do as part of Stat Check, people do because of Stat Check, or people do completely isolated from us because the community's grown so much alongside us. It's just amazing. And thank you so much, everybody, for allowing us to be part of it with you.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's been wild when I went to my first WTC 2 years ago. Stat Check was just kind of this little side project that we all had. And then the year after that, we were, providing coverage through Nathan, sponsoring the event. and seeing our logo on the backdrop last year was
next to Red Bull, by the way. That was
a
the
little
wild bit.
unsettling to be clear. But also just like testament to the wonderful support that you all have given us. Like I've said many times, the work that we do, we wouldn't do it if it wasn't for you guys. Like I wouldn't do the data collection, the synthesis. Cliff wouldn't do the wonderful visualizations he's been doing. The others on the team, like we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the team, for the community that's been so generous and also so supportive of what we've been doing for them.
Yeah, and the reason we chose to make this our 100 episode special was going through community talk with other WTC captains is because so much of what we do is because of WTC. The reason we are almost all of us are notable players or notable community members is because of the community that grew up around WTC, whether it's being there directly or having access to so many international people because of it, that it feels like it was only right to try to give back to as many people as we could and, help them spotlight their tournament and help everybody care so much about this event that we so much care about. We will be doing a ton more WTC coverage over the next couple of weeks. Next week, we'll have all of the lists. They come out on Monday, the 22nd. So you can expect us to be live talking about some cool stuff from there. I will be organizing a newcomer show again this year. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do it last year. Just the timing didn't work out on my end, but my job is a lot more flexible now. So I'll be trying to grab 5 or 6 new people who are first timing at WTC and talking to them about how their preparation has been, how it's been getting involved in the WTC community, all that kind of thing. We did one 2 years ago where we had such incredible players as Liam VSL, Arna from Team Germany, we had Brian, we had Anthony. There were a few more that I'm struggling to remember at the top of my head at 2 a.m. But yeah, it was an incredible show. It was really awesome to be a part of, and we'll be aiming to do a similar kind of thing this year. I've already got a few people scoped out. One player from Team China. I got a player from Team Australia scoped out, I believe. One of my guys from Team Scotland. No Team Americans this year. Jeremy, I'll be in your DMs organizing a Canadian player if I can.
You should grab Zach because that Tiger Shark is just so much fun.
I don't know if I can deal with Zach online. He seems so annoying in the StatCheck Discord.
So, remember,
I know,
Anthony has said it before. In person, Zach is so much more fun. Online, he is a keyboard warrior.
So yeah, we will definitely be doing that. If you are sitting there watching and you're like, I'm going to WTC for the first time, drop me a message. 100% do it. If I get 20 people that want to do it, I'll do 2 shows. I just will. I want to bring WTC to everybody that we could possibly care about it, because it is the reason I still play 40k. It's the reason I have the job I have. And nothing would be the same without it if I hadn't stumbled into going to WTC a little over 9 years ago now. Yeah, that's all I really have. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm not going to do the plugs. They're in the description. Nobody needs to hear that right now. If you're at a tournament this weekend, please do the very best of luck, unless you're at my tournament, in which case I hope you get smashed. Otherwise, watch this space. We've got another 100 episodes in us. We've got another thousands of episodes in us. We're going to be here. We're here for the long run. Watch it. We can do it.
If you're going to be at Tacoma this weekend, come say hi, and I will exchange that crisp high five to anyone in the $15 tier.
It might not be 1,000 episodes of StatCheck, but 1,000 episodes of all the shows and all the years. We're going to be here. Even if it's not us doing it, StatCheck will be there. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Please keep an eye on the WTC coverage. Drop us a message. Have a great weekend.
Have a good night.